Alright. Hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel once again, and welcome back to the Labyrinth. So, 100 episodes of Nigel Dixie's Tales from the Labyrinth. Wow. Just absolutely wow. It seems like yesterday when I, for the first time on Facebook, to just a small group of friends and family read a poem that I had written, and I had written for them. Not necessarily for them, but I read it out loud for them, and that's what really got the ball rolling for Now Dixie Tales from the Labyrinth. And then I asked, they responded, so I decided to make it a series. And now, 100 episodes later, we've definitely come a long way, and we're just getting started. But for this episode, I decided I'd do something incredibly special. I have 100 poems that we're going to read and analyze here today, for Night Dixie Tales from the Labyrinth, episode 100, and it might be a long one, but I hope it's still an enjoyable one for you guys. So you're gonna see a range of emotions and a range of topics talked about within a lot of these poems. I have 50 written by myself and then 50 from other poets. It's gonna be quite a bit of themes. There's gonna be romance. There's gonna be discovery. There's gonna be tragedy. There's gonna be heartbreak. Just a range of emotions, almost like going to the theater or so. I do hope you guys go on to enjoy. But the other thing is, because we have a lot of poems, it's gonna be a long one. So definitely strap in and get comfortable. Have yourself some snacks. Feel free to pause the video, and I definitely don't recommend watching this in one sitting, because we're definitely gonna be here a while. So feel free to break it up into smaller groups, like watch a few minutes here and there. For sure, because we're gonna be here for a while. But if you're gonna watch it the one way through, then I appreciate you. You are definitely a trooper. So excuse me, without further ado, let's get right into it. So along that, I got 2 bottles of water this time. But of course, if you are new to Nigel Dixie's Tales from the Labyrinth, welcome. If not, welcome back. But if you are new here, then what we do, for the most part, with some exceptions, is we read poetry. So I love writing poetry, I love reading poetry, I love analyzing poetry, because poetry is such a creative medium for people to express their emotions and feelings. And I found that not just with the poetry I write, but with the poetry I've read and even analyzed for here. Without further ado, enough dilly-dally, let's get right into it. So we're starting off with the poems that I've written, and some of these you've heard before, some of these you might not have, but yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. So this first one is called Dream Girl. I see her in my dreams. I hear her voice. I see her gentle movements, swaying like a calming wind. I hear her voice, calming, warming, familiar, like a sweet melody, pleasing my ears. I feel her presence, even when she's not here. Her presence is in my head. Her home is in my heart. She is the girl of my dreams, and I never want to wake up. So, this I wrote a while ago, but talking about a dream girl, a girl who was on my mind at the time. The thing is when you got like a dream girl or a dream person, like a POI, a person of interest, is they never really leave your mind. You think about them all the time. And you just oftentimes stare out into space and just think about them and think about their presence and stuff like that. Especially when you have an incredibly deep connection with them. Yeah, so kind of what's being explored here within this poem, where everything feels like a dream. When you're in a dream, for the most part, unless it's a nightmare, but when you're in a dream, you're in that state of not necessarily ecstasy, but but that elevated mood and that elevated state where everything just seems to go right and everything just seems to go perfectly. But this next one is called "Do You Love Me?" Do you love me? And I mean truly love me. Not a love I hear about or see in a magazine. Not a love that hates me and wishes my demise. Not a love based on lust, but on true care and tenderness. Do you love me and not pretend that you do? Or do you love the idea of me, what I can provide physically? Is your love genuine, or have we wasted our time here? So talking about love, I asked the question: do you truly love me? Like, do you love me for me? Do you love me as an individual, or do you just love the idea of me? Do you just love what I can bring to you, and do you just, or are you just using me, stringing me along on whatever? And granted, when it comes to the person that you love, there has to be something that you love about them, or else why do you love them? But with this one, and I ask, is it true love? Do you truly love me for me, or do you just kind of love the idea of me where I can be replaceable, like something that I bring, and whether it be monetary or her filling some kind of void, but not really for me, and and yeah, so that's kind of what we explore with that poem there. This next one is called 50 Different Ways to Say I Love You. The first one should have been. Okay. Never mind. It's at the end. Okay. Hey, sorry. All right. I got the order mixed up. But every day with you is a blessing. I adore you. I appreciate you. I can't live without you. You're always on my mind. I always think about you. I care about you. I'm sorry. I'm thankful for you. I bought food. I want to spend time with you. Tell me about your day. I want to spend forever with you. You are my sunshine. You are my everything. Tell me what's wrong. You're beautiful. I'm so happy for you. I'm proud of you. I want to see the best from you. You're awesome. You are loved. Let's stay in and watch Netflix. I'm committed to you. Never leave me. I don't want to fight. I apologize. I brought you something. Merry Christmas. I missed you. Have a great day. Hey, you're my best friend. You're my favorite. Marry me. I do. I brought pizza. I thought of you. I did the dishes. I washed everything. Get some rest. I want you to meet my family. I want you. I need you. My life is so much better with you. Where are you? Never let me go. I'll cherish you forever. Good night. You are the best. I love you. So, oh, for a lot of people, there's a lot of different ways to show that they love someone, and that's kind of what we explore here. Here are several ways of showing that you care about someone, whether it be a gesture, or that's what love language is. Your love language is essentially what do you define as love? Is it gestures? Is it kind words? Is it encouragement? Is it physical touch? Is it quality time? So kind of exploring quite a few of them, and as you can see, there's several different ways to say that you love someone, or to show that you love someone. And so that's kind of what we explore here within this poem. This next one is called Jukebox. Everybody has their own jukebox, filled with music. Some happy, some sad, some from different times, some modern. We sing and dance to it, all day and all night. We let others listen to our jukebox and hear the melodies of our hearts and minds. And so, everybody has a jukebox, music. Why do you think Spotify has the year-end Wrapped, or whatever the name of it is? But it just goes to show that a lot of people have their own music, whether it be literal music like playlists and stuff. No, I'm not showing you my Spotify playlist, not because I'm embarrassed of it. I just don't feel like it. But I can tell you my playlist has a mix of all kinds of stuff. Some from the present, some from the past. So there's quite a bit going on in my playlist. But a lot of people have their own music, have what they define as music, stuff that identifies them, something that identifies with them, and with their jukebox, the music, and the metaphorical sense is what they are as a person. It's their personality. It's their background, what they've been through. When you listen to a jukebox or some type of music, you get to peer inside the minds of the people who made the music, and so you get to see more about them, and that's kind of what's being explored here with the jukebox. But this next one is called Poetry in Motion. Poetry is alive. It surrounds all of us. It lives and breathes in nature, in people, in animals. We see it all the time, in rushing waters, in mighty mountains, in cool breezes. Words and thoughts and ideas, conveyed in several ways. In art, because everything is art. Art imitates life. No, art is life. Perceptions, dreams, realities, coexisting, as we see a beautiful poem around us in the world. Also, kind of taking the idea of poetry and giving it more of a literal sense, saying, and it's in nature, it's in the people that are around us, it's in animals. We see it surrounding us. We see essentially the earth's poem. We see what poetry is all about, and poetry not only is usually art, but it oftentimes details a lot of hype. You notice with a lot of poetry, it gives a it gives is kind of a look into who life, whether it be the poet's life or the life surrounding the poet, or our own lives. We reflect within ourselves, and we see ourselves and we see our lives within the poem. So, kind of what's being conveyed there within this poem. Excuse me, but this next one is called Insomniac. I often stay awake late at night. Why? Various reasons. Think about anything and everything. Theorizing about stuff. Thoughts on so many things. Why am I still awake? Various thoughts cross my mind. Some stuff kinda but some other interesting stuff. How am I still awake? Thinking about people. My friends and family. The ones who are probably asleep. Wrestling, comics, video games, history, science, tech, memes, YouTube. Go to sleep already, man. Shout out to my fellow insomniacs out there. You definitely can relate to this. Kind of just staying awake when everybody else is asleep. Kind of just staying awake alone with your own thoughts. But I will maintain that oftentimes us staying awake and kind of being by ourselves and with our own thoughts is where we learn the most about ourselves, because we get to reflect on things without necessarily having that other person over our shoulder telling us what to think or about the situation. And granted, there's not always stuff wrong with that. Sometimes you want other people's inputs, but sometimes staying awake, staying awake to kind of process things and to think about things oftentimes can yield some positive or even at the very least just interesting results. Am I condoning or promoting insomnia? Possibly. But this next one is called Sunshine. I love the sunlight as it ushers in a brand new day. The warm glow of the sun, followed by birds chirping, signaling a brand new day within the warmth of the sun. And so, of course, there's the sun on very bright, very warm, from that yellow, especially when it's beating down on us, and and showing that the sun gives that life. So pretty much going through the properties of the sun. That sunlight, that warmth that people feel. People getting that happy feeling when they see the sun, especially on like a winter's day. Like oh man, it's all snow and cold and stuff. At least the sun's out, which here in Buffalo, at least it's slowly starting to transition into springtime, which is a fantastic thing. But this next one is called Hole in My Heart. There's a hole in my heart. It was left there when you walked out the door to my heart and took its love with you. So, sadly, and this one I didn't read that long ago. But which some of these I didn't haven't read that long ago. Actually, some were kind of recent. In fact, some were even in like the previous episode, or at least one or two were in like the past previous episodes. But nevertheless, as that being that hole in that heart, you definitely feel that void when someone you care about walks out of your life or leaves your life, whether it be through a falling out or whether it be their passing. And you definitely this one more so kind of like that parting, like that falling out. But oftentimes when a person that you love and cherish isn't there with you anymore, it hurts. It literally feels like a part of you is being ripped out and taken, and it definitely can hurt. But this next one is called Coffee. Brown liquid fills my cup with a sweet aroma from delicious coffee beans, even though they're actually seeds. Hot, not quite scalding. Be careful of hot coffee. Remember the McDonald's lady? Creamer and sugar, stirring in like a magic potion to get me through the day. I love coffee. Coffee is delicious. But especially it gets you up, it gets you moving, and it gets you ready for your day. The sweet, beautiful brown liquid maiden herself has gotten me through so many days. I absolutely love coffee. And I will definitely stand and buy coffee. It is absolutely delicious. So kind of just a poem dedicated to coffee. But this next one is called Winter. The white flurry cloaking the sky. Temperatures going down further and further. Ice on the streets and in the road. Christmas music blaring through the streets. Salvation Army bells. Caroling. Warm food and warmer spirits. As it's wintertime yet again. Hey, winter, we were just talking about you. But kind of detailing the aspects of winter. The thing is winter is kind of a double-edged sword, especially here in Buffalo. On one hand, and the temperatures are dropping harder and harder, and the snow is falling down and down, and it's pretty to look at, but man, it is tough to navigate through. But there's also the good aspects of the wintertime. Christmas, caroling. I don't think I've seen carolers like door to door carolers. Ever in my life. Now that I think about it, maybe they just don't come around my neighborhood. But caroling that wintertime, whether it be Christmas or New Year's or Valentine's Day, even so, kind of showing both aspects of winter, kind of showing the cold temperatures, but the warm spirits, the warmth within the people's hearts, of course. But this next one is called This Girl. So there's this girl. She's the most beautiful girl in the world. Beautiful from the inside now. Beautiful eyes that you could get lost in for hours. Lovely hair flowing like a gentle river. A warm smile that could light up the darkest room and warm the coldest heart. Outer beauty that brings a strong man to his knees, but inner beauty as well, radiating for all to see. A sweet scent that could make a runny nose stop in place. Just the thought of her could have you daydreaming for hours in front of everyone, looking like an idiot. But you don't care because this girl is so beautiful that you have no shame thinking about her all day. Kind of similar to the poem we read earlier, going back to that girl, like when you have that girl or even just that person of interest, you definitely you think about them, like they definitely run through your mind all the time, and to the point where you can feel them, you can feel their presence, you smell them and stuff like that. It sounds kind of creepy, but they oftentimes can be on your mind and stuff. But this next one is called Have You Ever? Have you ever seen a beautiful flower, fresh in bloom? Have you ever seen kids running and become suddenly reminiscent of old times? Have you ever seen the complexity in a web and wondered how the spider did it? Have you ever dreamed of the future, unsure of the right answer? Have you ever seen a glorious sunrise or a beautiful sunset? Have you ever been to the beach and see the waves crash on the shore? Have you ever gotten a cold ice cream and then later a brain freeze? Have you ever seen a baby laugh and noticed the joy in their face? Have you ever seen a homeless person and wondered if the roles were reversed? Life holds so many wonders and mysteries, so don't get stuck on only one of them. And really, that last part really encapsulates not just the entire poem itself, but the message of the poem, showing several different things, several different sights within life, and showing that you can't just focus on one. You gotta take it all in. Kind of that. Well, I think they call it the slice of life because you get so much with it, but. Yeah, so asking about different aspects, the sunset, the beach, flowers, stuff like that. There's so many aspects to life. Don't get caught in just one of them, but go out there and explore it and see what's out there. But this next one is called The Painter. The painter paints with a purpose. Every brushstroke as important as the last. The painter uses many colors: white, green, blue, red, black, purple, yellow, orange, pink. The painter envisions the painting and paints away day and night. The painter paints with precision. Nothing is out of place. Nothing is messed up. Flawlessly painting, for the painter has done this several times before. The painter paints everything in rhyme, and rhythm and rhyme. The pretty sun, the beautiful sky, the lovely grass. The painter paints with love. He loves what he does, and he loves his audience, and his audience loves him. So, oh the painter as described in this poem, all kinds of using all kinds of colors, using all kinds of precisions, everything where it needs to be. Painting is oftentimes a beautiful art form. Or man, I've seen some paintings that have really blown my mind. But so showing the painter as they paint, the painter described here, her in and seeing everything he gets up to, seeing how things are put into place and how the vision comes out the way that he wants it. And no, this isn't necessarily about Bob Ross, but you can equate this to really just about anyone, like a painter in your life, or related to your own life, if where things are in place and things are put in different spots, it's in a certain way. But this next one is called 1 Hour in Heaven. If I had 1 hour to take a trip up to heaven, I would love to see you again. I would look for you frantically until I found you. I would hug you and tell you about how much I missed you. I would talk about what happened while you were gone, and I would let you talk about what heaven is like. I would want to hold you for so long and never want to let go. I wish I had 1 hour in heaven so I could see you one last time. And for those of us who have lost loved ones, and we definitely echo these sentiments where we wish, we could head up to heaven. We could take a trip to heaven to see our loved ones up there, just to catch up and see how things have been, and then kind of talk with them. And a lot of people say they wish heaven had visiting hours, because we definitely would love to visit our loved ones and for them to tell us what heaven's like, but also for us to tell them so much, like we love them so much that we want to see them one last time. We want to interact with them at least one last time. And it'd be hard, trying to visit them and not letting go. But while I didn't make this about anybody in particular, I think about my loved ones who I've lost, such as my grandmother, who passed away in 2014. And if I had an hour in heaven to go visit her, I definitely would take the chance. I wonder if heaven does have visiting hours. But but this next one is called "I Love You." I love you. That's why I lie to you. I loved you. That's why I steal from you. I love you. That's why I abuse you. I love you. That's why I despise you. I love you. That's why I cheated on you. I love you. That's why I always call you ugly. I love you. That's why I call you stupid. I love you. That's why you mean nothing to me. I love you. That's why I can't let you leave. I love you. That's why you infuriate me. I love you. That's why I don't let you go anywhere. I love you. That's why your family hates me. I love you. That's why your friends call me abusive. What do they know? They're just jealous. I love you. That's why I stopped you from leaving. I love you. That's why I killed you. You love me. That's why you never left me. You love me. That's why you hoped I would change. You love me. That's why you cared for me. You love me. That's why you're dead. But don't blame me, because remember, I love you. So, obviously, this isn't really love. This is an abusive relationship, a abusive scenario in set circumstances, and that's exactly what's being described here, where the words say one thing, but the actions mean another, and and being in a toxic, abusive relationship is definitely a touchy subject. Thankfully, I've never been in one, and I hope and pray that I never am in one. But for those of you who are, it's never too late to get out. Get out of there. You don't need to put up with that. You don't need to put yourselves through that. Yes, it's difficult. And really, it's something I don't want to talk fully about, at least not here, because I know, like I said, it is a very, very touchy, very dark, very heartbreaking subject to describe. But trust me, like, hey, you gotta get out of there. There are people who truly will love you and care about you, but a situation like that you're in, and I hope that none of you are ever in that situation, but for those of you who are, you definitely have to get out of there, because you deserve so much better than that, and you don't deserve to be abused or anything like that. That's not cool. Well, that's something I don't condone, and I understand why it's difficult to leave, but you definitely have to. But this next one is called Beautiful Soul. The face of an angel, and a voice so sweet, as her voice echoes through my mind. Apprehension fills my bones, as I feel that I'm almost out of time. Beautiful eyes, beautiful hair, beautiful eyes, beautiful soul, as she majestically moves about. Oh, she's the concept of beauty personified. Of that there is no doubt. Butterflies in my stomach and moss in my head, as this beautiful soul has me starstruck. But will she be mine? I'll have to carefully test my luck. Knees trembling like an earthquake is happening as I play this love game. What makes this situation even better? She knows my aim. She knows who I am and what I do, and that I wait for the day that life will truly start. But despite all of our conversations and situations, she doesn't know all the contents of my heart. I am known for my silver tongue and quick wit, and for not being violent. But when it's time to tell her my feelings, why do I suddenly become silent? They say that love's in the air, and I may have caught a case. But will I walk through the doorway to love, or will the door slam in my face? This weight of my feelings hurts my chest, as I don't know how to reveal my heart. I feel happy when we're together, and lonely when we're apart. I am in love with her, and my feelings truly are to blame. But there's one crucial question that must be answered. Does she feel the same? Will she tell me that she loves me, and how deep in love she fell? Or will I be renewing my stay for the night at the Heartbreak Hotel? Will she reject my heart and soul and leave me without bliss? Or will I embrace that beautiful soul as we share a tender kiss? So here is the original. This is the first poem that I read that really got the ball rolling for Nigel Dixie's Tales from the Labyrinth, and as we know it, yeah, this was a person I was interested in at the time, and sadly it didn't really pan out. She didn't reciprocate, but that's okay. It happens sometimes. You live and you learn. But showing kind of that nervousness and showing kind of my feelings, like very apprehensive to say things because you don't quite know what their answer is going to be. Granted, you don't know if you don't ask, but like, hey, if you ask, will you be rejected? And that's kind of the dilemma that I faced there, and that I faced there, and that I'm sure some of you have been in, where you have someone that you're really interested in and you really care about. And no, the other two poems are talking about how, like, a girl and stuff, those aren't about the same person, but I know you all have, or at least most of you have been in that situation where you want to tell that person and about how you feel, but you don't quite know how they're gonna take it, and that's really the dilemma. Like, do you tell them and face that rejection, and do you go head first in and get that rejection, or do you spare yourself the rejection but never fully know the answer? Or that's what you have to analyze there, and that's what you truly have to evaluate within yourself. There may be someone you're interested in right now. How I will say, hey, I get it. I know you're scared, you're apprehensive, but you never know unless you ask. They might feel the same way. Hey, and of course, if they don't feel the same way, then that's that. You move on. You live and learn, because things like that are temporary, but I'm sure others will come around. There's plenty of fish in the sea, my friend. But this next one is called Bells. They say you hear bells before you die, and that may be true for some besides me, but what I may hear before I die is the sound of yelling and screaming as I bleed. The sounds of dogs barking and children crying may fill the streets with sound, but that's all I hear, because, as they say, you never hear the shot that takes you down. The bells of the church echo loud as people pass by and by. Inside, the church is packed as people say their last goodbye. Friends I haven't seen since elementary, relatives from down south making a long drive. Although the question that I must ask is this: why didn't they say anything to me when I was alive? People say they love me while I continue this daily hell. But what truly saddens me is that these friends show but never tell. The bells of the church echo loud as my family friends and family are filled with dread, and while the newspaper displays the grim headline, "Teenager 17 shot dead," the ominous sound of the bells of the church rings throughout the streets, and as the shots of the guns rang out, the neighbors clutched their sheets. Can you hear the bells as you come and go? Does it remind you of the white Christmas a very long time ago, where your family stormed out on you as you exchanged heated words as that relative was shot dead and everything felt like a blur? They say, hey, love is patient and kind, even through any type of hell. Learn to love quick and love hard before you too hear the bells. So it's not. So this poem isn't quite about anyone in particular, especially about me, of course. But this is what we go through sometimes, where things can happen in an instant, where someone is no longer with you, and you'll wish that you spent more time with them and that you interacted more with them before their death. So obviously, this is a very extreme circumstance where the narrator is shot dead, but who knows? It could be shooting, it could be a type of illness, or anything. You never know when your last moments are going to be with someone. That's why you give people their flowers while they're here, not when you go to their grave. Obviously, you can do both, of course, but definitely give people their flowers and love and appreciate people while they're here. There are some people that you probably shouldn't associate with, but the ones that you can, like the ones that you're still on good terms, but you haven't talked to them in a while, hit them up, see how they're doing, because you never know when they're gonna be taken from you. But this next one is Sonnet 1. My name is Nigel Dixie, and I am known for many things, whether it be that my last name rhymes with pixie or several qualities that I bring, whether it be my kind heart or my ability to have fun. But the sun is where I start, as I feel my poet's journey has just begun. This is the first sonnet I have written here today, and I have learned to write them some type of way. And I have to learn to write them some type of way. That's right, we got sonnets in here, baby. So this is when I attempted to write a sonnet, a new poetry style on the channel a few episodes ago, and this one I think turned out not bad. But how was the second attempt? Let's find out with sonnet number 2. It's very cold outside today, which is why I stay indoors. And even as others may go out and play, I like cuddling under the covers more. Another buffalo winter season has come to greet us here in November. However, for a potentially obvious reason, I miss the warmth of September. Outside right now is very cold, so only go out if you feel bold. Well, yeah, this was around winter time, and you definitely felt it. But of course, the buffalo winter season doesn't start in December. Usually it starts in November. So sometimes I think like even last year it started in October. But but taking that and putting it into the sonnet there. So not a bad attempt, and it's not the only different poetry style that we have here in this poem, in this episode, of course. But this next one is called Normal. I tried being normal, fitting into the societal norm, being like everyone else. I hated it. So, it happens sometimes where you feel like you want to try to fit in, but here to let you know, you're not always meant to fit in. Oftentimes you're meant to stand out. Sometimes you're different. Sometimes things work a little differently for you. Sometimes your brain is wired a little different because it's supposed to. You're not supposed to. You don't fit in with people sometimes because you're not supposed to. And being on the outskirts, feeling like that outcast, it can be hard sometimes. I definitely felt that growing up, but I think me being different is what led to things being the way they are now, where things aren't quite where I want them to be just yet, but I feel like making a decent amount of progress, and that's nothing against the other people, and that's nothing against the others and everything, but that sometimes, that standing out, that being set apart, or, that's what makes all the difference, so, sometimes you want to be normal, and I definitely understand it, but sometimes you want to stand out, you you want to stand out and you want to set yourself aside, and you definitely do set yourself aside. So sometimes normal isn't, and for me, yeah, I feel like, at least in terms of personality wise, there's no really such thing as normal, because we're all unique and individual in our own separate individual ways. But this next one is called empty love. I don't want an empty love, a love devoid of love, no warmth to combat the cold of the world, no emotion to see and feel. How can we build a foundation on an empty love? So, kind of tying back into the poem, the poem I read earlier, her about how do you love me? So kind of tying back into that, kind of the same or a similar concept where, oh, do you truly love me? Like, hey, do you truly have a love for me, or is it an empty love? Is it hollow? Is it not a real love? So kind of what's being explored there. Like, hey, I don't want an empty love. I don't want a love that you just tell me about, that you tell me you love me, but I don't really feel it. Like, I want a true love. I want an actual, real, genuine love, and I think that's what all of us want. On it, it doesn't even have to be romantic, not even in a romantic sense, but from friends and family. You want a real love, and how can we build a foundation on empty love? Like, if the love is empty, if there's no real love there, if we just say we love each other but we don't actually love each other, then what are we even doing here? But this next one is called her lovely smile, her sweet scent, her soothing voice, her big heart, her tenderness, her pleasant aura makes her beautiful to me. So going back, I promise not all my poems are about girls, but going back to kind of that idea about that significant other, where just everything about them is beautiful on the inside and out. Granted, this one's a bit shorter than the other ones, but it still conveys that same idea, where when you love someone, where you truly love someone, you truly adore someone, you love them on the inside and the out. But this next one is called Holidays. December 25th, a day of cheer, of celebration, a gathering of friends and of family and friends, filled with love, joy, and happiness. And the amount of presents doesn't matter, nor does the snow outside, as long as family is inside. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Buona Feste, Buon Natale, Feliz Navidad, Happy Boxing Day. Hey, may the kindred spirit of the holidays fill you all. So of course, as the poem would suggest, this was around the holiday time, around Christmas and etc. So really, he's sharing that holiday warmth. Of course, first, Merry Christmas, everyone, having that holiday spirit, even though it's March. Or Merry Christmas, everyone, on just showing that holiday. Showing that holiday love and care, regardless of what you celebrate around that time, if you don't celebrate anything. But yeah, so I'll kind of being explored there. But this next one is called Live, Laugh, Love. Live for each day that you see. Laugh hard and out loud. Love as if today is your last day. So live, laugh, love. I'm sure you've seen that expression once or 1,000 times, but kind of exploring that, like live for the moment and laugh whenever you can, and in love as if today's your last day, because you never know when it'll be your last day. Going back to the Bells poem, you never know when it'll be your last time. So live for today. But this next one is called Ode to Summer. Warm nights, warmer hearts, days at the beach, hanging out with friends, going to parties, heat up high. The AC is up higher. Ice cream, or just something cool to drink. Barbecues, and watching the fireworks on the 4th. And the insects, but small loss. No school, meaning happy children. Days at the zoo, or just chilling inside to beat the heat. Summer romances, camping outdoors. Let us reminisce on the summer as it comes to an end. So of course, this was around the summertime, and I forget exactly when I made this poem, but I know it was definitely around the end of the summertime, so around like August, September or so. But kind of summer, one of the reasons why I love summer so much, the heat, that feeling of just freedom, as you're out and about, Oh, and you see all the people. There's so much to do. Whether going to the zoo, which we used to do back in the day, the Buffalo Zoo, of course, or sometimes camping, just chilling, like just that, just that feeling, that euphoria, if you will, of the summertime. It's definitely an awesome feeling. Summer just it just makes me happy. It did when I was younger, and it still does now. And I'm officially done with bottle number one. I'm surprised it took me this long to finish off the first bottle, but like I said, that's why I got the backup. But this next one is called Masquerade Ball. Masks, masks, masks everywhere. Hide the face, hide the soul. The eyes are the window to the soul, but I can't see either eyes nor window. Why did you hide? I ask. Why didn't you hide? They ask. We dance the night away and proudly don our masks. But I don't know you. You don't know me. Yet we are family. Ignorance disguised as elegance. Hate disguised as love. Jealousy disguised as support. Some wear the mask with pride. Others were forced to wear ours. It's very nice to meet you. Let's never meet again. Star-crossed lovers. Never speak. You wish to speak to me? Where is your mask? I promise this wasn't this was long before COVID and everything, and where masks were the mandate. But this is more of like a metaphorical, or metaphysical, if you will, mask where it's a mask to hide things like where we put our mask and we hide the inner parts of our soul. Excuse me, if we hide the inner parts of our soul from each other, and and we hide things away that we don't quite want people to see. So that's really what's being explored here. And of course, the masquerade ball, the dance where they have the mask and everything. I've never actually been to a masquerade ball, but it is very elegant, of course. But the main thing is the mask, so you can't see the person's face because you're not supposed to. But kind of playing with that idea a little bit within the confines of this poem. But this next one is called "Walking Down the Street." I'm walking down the street, waving at everyone I see. Some wave back, others don't. I don't understand why. Maybe I'm not meant to. Walk 500 miles in my shoes. Walk 500 more. Walk on sunshine. Walk down Abbey Road. But walks are different. Walks are different nowadays. Yellow submarines turn into Bugattis. Smiles turn to frowns. Attention turns to distractions. Walk, talk, walkie-talkie. Talk to me. You will see what's going on. September we talk so much, but what happens after the love is gone? Birds and trees turn to distant memories. Maybe it's for the best. Walk like Papa, but Papa didn't walk. Papa was a rolling stone, but his hat never came home. When a man loves a woman, will he walk with her? Yes, there's a lot of music references here because when I walk down the street and walk from place to place, I do love listening to music. But also going to show the changing of times and the conveying of different emotions, but also kind of that change of times from how things were previously to how things have become. So all that being shown on within the poem and all that being explored. And you see a lot when you just walk down the street. Like hey, when I walk down the street, whether it be going to school or going to work or something like that, the things I've noticed is have been somewhat incredible. Somewhat fascinating to me, which is some of the things that kind of are explored within the poem. But the next one is called Things That Make Me Happy. A new relationship, someone getting a new job, new opportunities in my life and in the lives of others. Kids playing, animals running around, flowers, sunshine, delicious smells, and delicious foods. Those are all things that make me happy. When people tell me about how new exciting things happen in their life, I get excited with them. Sometimes I get more excited than they do, but there's plenty of things that make me happy, and there has to be, or else I'd probably go crazy with all the negativity and stuff that's in the world. Also, kind of trying to hold on to that stuff, at least for me. But this next one is called Power. Or power is big, power is important, power holds weight and authority, power is enticing, power is tempting, and power is corrupting. They say power power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So kind of exploring that, that sense of power where you have that big burden of responsibility and what you have to do, but don't let it get hit to your head, of course, where you mess things up, not just for yourself but for others. But this next one is called life. What is life? A question asked for millennia. Is it comfort and stability? Is it having everything ever? Is it family and friends? Is it isolation? Is it good or bad? Or perhaps somewhere in between? So, asking, the age-old philosophical question, what is life? And kind of how we define life. Is it what you have? Is it who you have with you? What do you define as life? What is life defined by you? What's your definition of life? Just like what's your definition of success? And so kind of playing on that, at how do you define life, of course. But this next one is called A Poem for the Broken Hearts. Your heart may have been broken today, yesterday, tomorrow. Broken hearts lead broken life. Broken hearts lead broken lives. The life is fixed when the heart is mended. It's so. Who here has been brokenhearted before? If you didn't raise your hand, and then you are lying. But heartbreak comes, and heartbreak definitely does not feel good. But you gotta keep moving. Like sometimes, and it's definitely hard. Getting your heart broken and still having to go on. Like you feel like you can't quite do it. You feel like, oh man. And this sucks. I don't know if I can move on. But I'm here to tell you that you definitely can, because things come and go, but you still have a job to do. But I also say, broken hearts lead broken lives, and that the life is fixed when the heart is mended. Whether it be relationships or a different part of your life, don't bring that brokenheartedness into other aspects, because it'll start to ruin and mess with those aspects. So you definitely don't want to ruin a different part of your life by carrying over the hurt from a different part of your life that happened. And so always keep that in mind. But this next one is called Dove. The dove flies around the sky, not worried about things, about war, for it is peace, and it knows peace. So, kind of playing with the idea of the dove. Dove is supposed to represent peace and be peaceful. It's not worried about war. It's just worried about peace and maintaining that peace. So, kind of exploring the aspect of the dove there within the poem. But this next one is called Good Morning. Good morning, everyone. Hope you all have a great day. Good morning, trees, standing tall and strong. Good morning, nature, and all of its beauty. Good morning, animals, as you frolic about. I'm having a good morning, and I hope you are too. I believe this was posted back during my Poetry with Nigel Dixie days, which is a group that I had on Facebook where I posted poetry, and I think that also is one of the other catalysts I got the ball rolling for. You can tell some Labyrinth, a lot of inspiration for this, but hey, that's not a bad thing, because look where it's gotten me so far, and I'm definitely happy it has gotten me as far as it has. But saying good morning and greeting everyone, greeting the trees and nature and the animals and just the surroundings. So spreading that morning happiness to everyone and everything, of course, or at least trying to. But this next one is called Pen. The mind is the source of thoughts. The paper is where the thoughts come to life. The pen is the bridge between the two worlds. So this definitely, I think, encapsulates writing to a T. The mind is where things starts, where ideas starts, where ideas are generated. The paper is where things come to life, but that pen is the bridge between the two worlds. The pen allows you to write your thoughts onto the paper. So kind of simple, but kind of interesting when you think about it in that dynamic. But this next one is called What to Write. I didn't know what to write. I couldn't think of a poem. I had no words to convey. I had no clever rhetoric to spew. My head is filled with words and ideas. My heart is filled with feelings. My hands want to write, but they don't know what to write. I decided that the best thing to write was that I didn't know. The real reason I know now. Word reason I should be there. So we'll just make a little there. The real reason I know now is because I didn't know. So, for those of you who are writers and have encountered that writer's block, it's hard to get over it. And I've encountered a writer's block a few times. It's hard to really get over that block, but once you go over it, it is rewarding. But here, I definitely had a writer's block where I didn't know what to write. So I decided to write, but I didn't know what to write. And I think that really helped out because, like, being able to spin that I didn't know what to write, translating that into wanting to know what to write now, I think also really helped. But this next one is called Superheroes. I used to read comics, flipping through the pages, seeing men and women doing incredible things, and I pictured myself doing those things too. So, I of course love superheroes. And one of the things that I love and that a lot of people love about superheroes is that for the most part, they're relatable. A lot of them go through problems that we go through, whether that be heartache or whether that be the loss of someone or picking themselves up and finding that strength. So being able to relate to those, especially Spider-Man. Like, I think Spider-Man is supposed to be as relatable as possible because he doesn't have a whole lot of money or anything like that. His story's very much ground up, and I think that was done on purpose to make him more relatable to people, so that people really resonate with him. And I definitely resonated with the superheroes and everything, and kind of wishing, as a lot of kids do, to do what they do, but also, in a way, hey, sometimes you can, even without like the actual superpowers and stuff, like being able to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and keep going, or being able to help others, like that essence of being a hero, I think can be conveyed, and for the most part definitely is. But this next one is called No Direction. Navigating the world today is confusing. Nothing makes sense. I often feel lost, unsure where to go, unsure what to do, trying to find a purpose, or letting my purpose find me, without any clue where to go. Oh, excuse me. So it's hard to navigate sometimes, like when you don't quite know what direction you want to head at with things. It can be kind of tricky, to navigate and to really find your way. Like, you definitely feel like you're fumbling through the dark or sometimes, and trying to find out where to go just in life, and where to go with things in life. But sometimes fumbling through the dark is hard, but sometimes you end up finding where you need to go eventually. But this next one is called Cloud. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to just float on a cloud without a care in the world? The beautiful little pretty clouds you see up in the sky. Wondering what it's like to just chill on the cloud and just float there, or without having to worry about anything, and just floating free as a bird, just through the clouds. I know I definitely have, and I'm sure you have as well, as people. Well, I'm sure you guys have as well. But this next one's called Cement. I sometimes feel stuck, like standing in a pool of cement, my feet hardening. I want to move forward, but I can't. I don't want to be stuck, but I feel like I am, as cement hardens around me, unable to move forward, but unable to go back. So that's a feeling that I'm sure a lot of you have felt sometimes, some may be going through right now, where you want to move forward, you want to push forward with something, you try to move. It's pretty much like being a pool cement, where you try to move forward, you try to push forward, but you can't, you're stuck, you want to move your feet, you want to move forward in life, but you can't, and so you just feel stuck. So, it's more metaphorical cement, but oftentimes, standing in that cement, and where you can't move forward, you just feel stuck. You want to move forward, you're trying to push all your might, but you feel like you just can't. That's definitely a feeling that I felt before. I'm sure many of you have felt before, and it's definitely a feeling that sucks. But sometimes I also maintain, sometimes it's not quite a no, it's more so a not yet. At sometimes things aren't moving forward because you're not quite ready for them just yet. And I know, that's definitely easier said than done, and I know that's something that's kind of tricky to cope with at times, but it's the truth sometimes, But this next one is called Desire. If I finally received all that my heart desired, would I be satisfied, or would I want more? So, kind of that dilemma I ask, if I got everything I wanted, if life always went the way that I wanted, would I be happy? Would I be satisfied? Would I want more? Would I crave more? Probably. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, hey, when you get what your heart desires, sometimes you still don't feel satisfied. Like, sometimes you want to go for more, and granted, it's perfectly normal to want to go for more, but also, be grateful for the progress you made so far and where you are. Or striving for more, striving for improvement isn't a bad thing at all. But kind of exploring that, and sometimes oh how will I put this? It's like sometimes I'm going for more, even with what you have already. Sometimes you can get jammed up. There's a difference between like wanting to strive for more and strive for improvement, and versus flat out greed. This poem I think kind of explores that and kind of walks that line just a little bit. But like I said, there's nothing inherently wrong with going for more, but also oh. Do keep in mind and be grateful for what you have thus far. But this next one is called Pathways. I find myself on the crossroads of life often, staring down at two potential paths, two potential fates, one laid out for me by others, which would be fine, if not a bit tiresome after a while, but then one of freedom, of liberation. This is the harder path, but perhaps the beneficial one. Which one will I choose? Only time will tell. Oh, so going back to The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost, which, spoiler alert, is later on in this episode. It's a poem I reference quite a bit because I think the message is such an interesting one, and it definitely encapsulates life pretty much to a T, where you see the two paths, you see how things are laid out, you see two potential fates, two potential endings, pretty much like playing a video game. You got the good ending, the bad ending, sometimes the neutral ending, sometimes the secret ending, but there's so many different ways and so many different paths to go in life, so many endings, you're not quite sure which one to take. So you go the safe path, the one that's like safe, where you know what's going to be on it, laid out of others, and kind of live that life? Or do you go on your own path, which may be scary, but may be beneficial and may work out even better for you? There's that chance, and that's the big word, or not just with the poem, but with life in general. Well, is that maybe, that feeling of maybe things might turn out better on the path less traveled. Maybe things won't. So kind of exploring that maybe, and kind of that dual feeling. But this next one is called Loop. Life feels like an endless loop sometimes, repeating the same things, getting the same results over and over again. Attempts to break the loop are in vain, as things loop on and on and on. So, definitely, well, but definitely one of like the most tiring feelings, like being in that loop, being in kind of like an endless loop where things just feel like they're repeating over and over and over and over and over again, and ad nauseum. And you want to escape the loop, you want to try to do different things, but you're not quite able to. You get stuck right back in that loop. Like, it can be difficult to break the loop. It's definitely possible, but it can be difficult to break the loop and to move on to other things. So kind of exploring that loop where it feels difficult to really leave it, no matter how much you want to. But this next one is called A Starry Night Sky. Do you remember the first time we met? The sky was filled with stars. Do you remember our first date? It rained that night. Do you remember when I met your parents? It was so cold that night. Do you remember when I proposed? It was so warm. Do you remember when we got married? The sky was a beautiful shade of velvet. Do you remember when we argued? It rained hard for the rest of the day. Do you remember when you became pregnant? The sky was blue as could be. Do you remember when you gave birth? The sky was pink with a touch of orange. Do you remember when our child walked? The sky was red and orange. Do you remember when our child graduated? The sky was a bright blue. Do you remember when our grandchildren were born? The sky was dark blue. I remember the night that you died. The sky was starry again. Another star was added to the sky. This one belongs to you. It's okay. I'll give you a moment to get those tissues. But yeah. So, showing life and the progression of life. I've through the use of the sky, the different skies and the different environment, and showing the different parts of life and the different aspects of life, and showing how life goes on, and showing the very tender moments as they're reflected in the sky, and oftentimes you remember more so the moments, but kind of playing with the idea of the sky. I more so the environment that is mixing with what's going on. I think is the main part of the poem, and honestly, me personally, I love pretty much all the poems I write. Most, if not all, the poems I write, but this one is definitely always one of my favorites because not only do I think it sends that beautiful message, but not to my own horn and stuff, but the way it plays with the sky and the environments and stuff, I think is pretty cool, and I had quite a bit of fun when I wrote this poem a while ago. But this next one is called Displacement. I feel lost sometimes, locked outside of my own mind, wandering aimlessly through a mental abyss, drifting through an empty sea, searching for a lighthouse named Meaning, searching for twins named Rhyme and Reason, never sure of my destination, a mental vagabond, yet the man in charge of me. Where is my home? It's where my heart is, but where is that? So warm yet so cold, feelings of ecstasy mixed with agony. As my search continues, the trail grows cold, and I drift away. So, I'm kind of playing back into the other poem, having that lost feeling where you don't quite know where you're going, and you're kind of in the state of limbo where you're not quite sure where the next move is and the next steps are. It'd be kind of taxing trying to navigate through that, but so showing that struggle and showing that showing that desire or to find where you're going, and so that you're no longer fumbling through the dark, but instead finding what you're looking for. It's definitely easier said than done, but when you find it you'll definitely know. But showing that wandering, showing that lost feeling, I think is the main part of the poem. But this next one is the first limerick. Limerick 1. I write lots of poems, many poems I own. I write lots of poems, many poems I own. I know many tricks, but no limericks I have ever shown. So not bad for a start. But here's the second limerick. I woke up early today. In my bed is where I want to stay, but I can't be a jerk because I have to work. So I suppose I'll be on my way. Yeah, hanging up for work can be kind of tricky sometimes, but the limerick attempt, I think, turned out pretty decently. But next up is haiku time. This first one is my first haiku. I am writing haikus. It is harder than I thought, but I try anyway. So I think I did get the structure wrong. It's supposed to be the 5-7-5, but I am haikus. So that's 6. It is harder than I thought. So that's 7, but I try anyway. Oh, so it might be 6-7-6. But here's second haiku. Second haiku, I should say. I am very, very cold. I need to bring a coat since it snows on Mount Fuji. So kind of playing with the idea there. I think I am very, very cold. So the first one is 7, so I messed up on that one. I need to bring a coat since. Okay, that's 7, and then it snows on Mount Fuji. So I think it is 6-7-6. But and of course, because of haiku, I had to throw that snowing on Mount Fuji there. But this next one is called Home. Home isn't a building; it's a foundation of love. Home isn't walls or a roof; it's shelter. Home isn't a furnace or heating; it's the warmth in your heart. Home isn't plumbing; it's tears being shed and mended. Home isn't light bulbs; it's the beauty of family illuminating. Home isn't a building because it's so much more than that. A house is where your body is. Home is where your heart is. So, and that's what they say. They truly do say, home is where your heart is, and that feeling of home being a place where you're comfortable, where you definitely feel comfortable. Home isn't the building. The building is the house or some kind of area, but home is truly where your heart is where you feel the most comfortable. And the last one by me, and this one's brand new for this episode, is called Moving Forward. Why are we afraid to move forward? Are we afraid of change? Are we afraid of the unknown? Or just afraid of the unknown? Afraid of what's on the other side? Afraid that we'll fail? Afraid that we will fail? Afraid that we will succeed? How can we begin the journey of 1,000 miles if we fear the first step? So, kind of, I think kind of touching on it earlier, kind of that feeling of you don't quite know what's going to be on the other side, so you don't quite want to move forward. You instead kind of creep forward, kind of suss out what's going on because you don't quite know where things are going to end up. But you want to move forward anyway, and you have to move forward anyway because that's life. You can't stay stuck in one spot the whole time. You gotta move forward. You gotta push forward in life. But now we get into the poems from other poets, and I've chosen quite a few here. There's some familiar, some we've read before, or others brand new, or at least not brand new as in they just wrote it, but brand new to the channel, and a mix of some of my favorite poets. It's some that I found when putting the video together, and of course, there's most of not all, most of these, with the exception of a couple, were courtesy, of course, of the Poetry Foundation, which I have, of course, linked in the description. I link them all the time in the description, and where I get all my poems. And what really also got me into poetry, especially like reading it in college and stuff, for my poetry class, and being able to check it out. So definitely check it out as well. The Poetry Foundation, I have linked them in the description. But this first one is called My Poem, and this is by Lucille Clifton. A love person from love people, out of the African sun, under the sign of Cancer. Whoever see he my midnight smile, seeing star apple and mango from home. Whoever take me for a negative thing, his death be on him like a skin, and his skin be his heart's revenge. So, showing Lucille Clifton here, or what Lucille, I should say, is showing here, showing not just herself and her being comfortable in her skin and everything, but saying, whoever take me for a negative thing is death beyond him, and like a skin, and skin be his heart's revenge. So this is who I am, this is the way I am, and if you don't like it, oh well, that's tough. So kind of showing that confidence from her, which confidence, of course, is always important. This next one is called Dreams, and this is by Langston Hughes. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. So, of course, Langston Hughes here, describing dreams, those dreams, when you have a dream, when you have something you want to do, you gotta keep working at it. Hey, you can't abandon it and just leave it. You gotta keep working at it. You gotta keep working towards it, and kind of show here, or that when you don't work on your dreams, they kind of just fall to the wayside, and nothing gets done with them. So definitely always keep those dreams in mind, and keep those dreams moving. You never know unless you try. So keep working on your dreams and keep working towards your goals. But this next one is haiku, and this is by Frank Lima. So now we're leaving the haikus to the professionals, but for Frank O'Hara. The lights are out, the cats are hungry, the room is full of gangsters. The dishes are dirty, the icebox is empty. I dream of celery and a compass. The roof is upstairs, the window next door, a guitar in the shower. The hours disappear in my room. Where's my blue pistol? The door god is knocking. And so showing in the haikus here, her kind of showing. And using these, like the haikus are definitely connected. It's showing the environment around him, kind of what's going on. That sense of danger towards the end, saying, where's my blue pistol? The door guy is knocking. So, someone is knocking at the door, and they may or may not be friendly. Kind of having to spring into action there. But like I said, leaving it to the professionals to put on some true haikus, some true good haikus, that is. But this next one is Dust of Snow, and this is by Robert Frost. The way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree has given my heart a change of mood and saved some parts of a day I had rued. Oh, so how Robert's describing it here, or he was walking out, having a bad day, hey, and then all of a sudden, some snow, shook down on him. The crow accidentally knocked some snow on him, and it elevated his mood. It turned around, and he found it funny. To where, he had to laugh. And he was like, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm not having as bad a day as I thought. But that does happen sometimes where we have a bad day. We just have a day where we're not feeling it. It takes one or two things, sometimes even one or two people to really elevate our mood. To elevate our mood, and sometimes it's to the point where we don't even remember what we're mad about. Even though, honestly, for me at least, and this is just me, not to ruin it, but if I have a bad day and snow bounced on me, especially if it got in my coat and down my neck and stuff, I definitely would feel a lot worse. I'd be a lot more upset. But not Robert here. He's taking it in stride, and he found it amusing. So, hey, more power to you, Robert. But this next one is Caged Bird, and this is by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays, and dares to climb the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. We see as Maya describes here, we see the two birds. We see a bird that's free, flying through the air, not a care in the world. But then we see a caged bird, a bird who wishes he had the freedom, trying to sing for that freedom, wanting the same freedom that the free bird has, but doesn't quite have it. Instead, he's tied up and bound in the cage. He's tied up and everything, so he's not leaving that cage. But we see the two dynamics here. We see the bird that's free. We see the bird that can go where it wants, but we see the bird that's caged up and searching for freedom. Sound familiar? But this next one is called My People. The night is people, so the faces of my people. The stars are beautiful, so the eyes of my people. Beautiful also is the sun. Beautiful also, I should say, is the sun. Beautiful also are the souls of my people. Langston, and pretty much describing his people, which of course are black people, of course. But saying that the night is beautiful, just like his people. The stars beautiful as the eyes of his people. So saying how people are beautiful and that black people are beautiful, which they absolutely are. So showing that beauty, taking the environment and relating it not just to himself but his people, saying, "Hey, all these things are beautiful. My people are just as beautiful as these things." So showing that comparison. But this next one is called Someone Leans Near, and this is by Toni Morrison. Someone leans near and sees the salt your eyes have shed. You wait, longing to hear words of reason, love, or play. To lash or lull you toward the hollow day. Silence needs your fear of crumbled star ash sifting down, clouding the rooms here. Here, you shore up your heart to run, to stay, but no sign or design marks the narrow way. Then on your skin a breath caresses the salt your eyes have shed, and you remember a call clear, so clear, you will never die again. Once more you know, you will never die again. So, showing, it's a kind of an interesting dynamic here, You're so showing and like the sadness, the salt your eyes have shed, when you're crying and stuff, of those tears, but then also showing that comfort, so the juxtaposition of like that sadness, but that someone leans near, is hearing your cries and is going to help you out and be there for you, of course. And sometimes, we need that shoulder to cry on, and we need that person to lean on. And this part, obviously, you'll never die again. Obviously, not literally, but more metaphorical death, where you feel like you're down, destitute, and you feel like you can't go on. So saying that will not happen for you again. But this next one is called Cutting Greens, and this is also by Lucille Clifton. Curling them around, I hold their bodies in obscene embrace, thinking of everything but kinship. Collards and kale strain against each strange other, away from my kiss-making hand and the iron bed pot. The pot is black, the cutting board is black, my hand, and just for a minute, the greens roll black under the knife, and the kitchen twists dark on its spine, and I taste in my natural appetite, the bond of live things everywhere. Here, so, describing, cutting greens, preparing them to eat and everything. But then, cutting to Lucille's environment around here, and how, the cutting of the greens kind of ties with everything around her as she, takes in her surrounding. It does remind her of the greens, where her mind is also elsewhere while she's cutting the greens, which does happen. But that connection between the cutting of the greens and the environment around here, I think is very interestingly done, and going to show that going to show that. Hey, your environment around you definitely can have an impact on you. It definitely has here, her as Lucille is cutting the greens, but surveying her surroundings, of course. But this next one is called Kin, and this is by Maya Angelou. We were entwined in red rings of blood and loneliness before. The first snows fell, before muddy rivers seeded clouds, above a virgin forest, and men ran naked, blue and black, skinned into the warm embraces of Sheba, Eve, and Lilith. I was your sister. You left me to force strangers into brother molds, exacting taxations they never owed or could ever pay. You fought to die, thinking in destruction lies the seed of birth. You may be right. I will remember silent walks in southern woods and long talks in low voices, shielding meaning from the big ears of over-curious adults. You may be right. Your slow return from regions of terror and bloody screams races my heart. I hear again, and the laughter of children see fireflies, bursting tiny explosions in Arkansas twilight. So, showing different things here. You're showing that kinship, and sounds like from how it's described. I could potentially, and this is kind of just my interpretation of it, could be, of course, describing slavery, describing what her ancestors have gone through, and showing that family, showing that connection between them, like the things they go through, and kind of relating it to her, even though she hasn't, even though she may or may not have gone through these similar things, taking in mind what her ancestors or others have gone through, and and juxtaposed with her life versus is what they're going through, and of course relating to them, which is where the kin part comes in, and of course that kin being family, the main meaning of kin, and being a kin, being someone's family, being someone's child or grandchild, or so, being of that same blood. And I think that's the main thing being explored here within the poem. But this next one is called Homage to My Hips, and this is by Lucille Clifton. These hips are big hips. They need space to move around in. They don't fit into little petty places. These hips are free hips. They don't like to be held back. These hips have never been enslaved. They go where they want to go. They do what they want to do. These hips are mighty hips. These hips are magic hips. I have known them to put a spell on a man and spin him like a top. So of course the homage to her showing her body, being comfortable in her body, saying, "Hey, my hips are wide, but I wouldn't change that." Had like they won't fit into small places, but they're her free hips. They're not being held back. So being confident within her own body and her own skin, and being confident within herself of what really being explored here. So being confident, saying, these hips aren't going to fit in the small places, but they go where they want to go. They do what they want to do, and saying these hips are mighty hips, they're magic hips. So she's definitely embracing her hips, of course. Excuse me. But this next one is called Mending Wall, and this is by Robert Frost. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that had sent the frozen ground swell under it, and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repair, where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding, to please the yelping dogs. The gaps, I mean. No one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line, and see the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each, and some are loaves and some so nearly balls. We have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game. One on a side. It comes to little more. That there where it is we do not need the wall. He is all pine and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across, and eat the cones under his pine, I tell him. He only says, good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder, if I could put a notion in his head, why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I'd asked to know what I was hauling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. I could say elves to him, but it is not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top in each hand, like an old stone savage armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only in the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well. He says again, good fences make good neighbors. So, oh, interesting dynamic here between Robert, or perhaps just the narrator, and his neighbor. So, the wall's built. The wall separates both. Separates both Robert and his neighbor. I'm just gonna say Robert for the sake of argument, and I'm gonna treat him as if they are the narrator, even if they aren't always the narrator. I'm just gonna say Robert and everything. So, so Robert, and his neighbor have the wall. One side is Robert and his property, and the other side is is the neighbor and his property. But the wall does divide them. So we see the two viewpoints. You see the neighbor wants to keep the wall, like saying good fences make good neighbors, meaning it's okay for us to be separated. We should be separated. But Robert, you can tell, doesn't want that wall. He's like, why is this wall here? Maybe we should tear it down. But the neighbor is not having it. So showing that interesting divide, right? Showing the two viewpoints where Robert doesn't want the wall, he doesn't like the wall, but the neighbor does want the wall and does like the wall. Saying the good fences make good neighbors. So looks like for now, at least if the neighbor has anything to say about it, that wall is staying up. But Robert, you can tell, does want that wall down, so that so that they can interact and everything. But this next one's called Freedom Exists, and this is by Jim Morrison. Did you know freedom exists in school books? Did you know madmen are running our prison? Within a jail, within a gale, within a white free Protestant maelstrom, we're perched headlong on the edge of boredom. We're reaching for death on the end of a candle. We're trying for something that's already found us. So, so only kind of divide, as Jim describes it here, or you're showing that we're trying to look for freedom. We want to fight for freedom, but freedom is here, but we're kind of holding it back. So we kind of want more so what our idea may be of freedom, or perhaps we're just saying it, but freedom truly is here. But the powers that be, are kind of trying to hold it back, even though we say we want freedom. Freedom is truly here. So why do we want freedom if it's technically already here? But yeah, so okay, that interesting dynamic there when it comes to that. But this next one is called "Old Man with a Beard," and this is by Edward Lear. There was an old man with a beard who said, "It's just as I feared. 2 owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren have all built their nests in my beard." So, oh, kind of more of a, and this of course is a limerick, and pretty goofy, having such a large beard that owls and larks are all making their homes in that beard, which means that must be one epic beard, man. But yeah, so kind of just a goofy story there. But this next one is called "A Memory of Us," and this is by Sophia El Hilo. When I think of us, I think of the lake water near Longtown, what might not technically constitute a lake, but I prefer that word for the open mouth of its vowel, how it called us to its throat and held us there, in the sun, the high points of our faces slick with light, and its arc around our shoulders, the soft gathering of flesh around our knees, the lone chair we found near the shore, where we took turns posing, jutting out, an eloquent hip, cackling in the bright language of flowers for whom I've downloaded an app, and learned their names: Beautyberry, Yarrow, Cornus Floridia, Black-eyed Susan, and you, my bright hibiscus, my every color. So, interesting here. Not her. This poem kind of accomplishing a couple things. For starters, it goes to show a memory that she has with the person she's talking to here in the poem, but it also goes to show. Goes on to call them her flowers. So, equating this memory, which I imagine kind of a happy memory of being by the lake and seeing the flowers and everything, and kind of being where the lake and the flowers are, but then comparing the other person saying, "Oh, you're my bright hibiscus. It's you're like a flower to me." So equating the memory is a good memory, but then equates it to the other person. So she forever associates that person with that memory. But this next one is called "The Giver" for Bedris, and this is by James Baldwin. If the hope of giving is to love the living, the giver risks madness in the act of giving. Some such lesson I seem to see in the faces that surround me, needy and blind, unhopeful, unlifted. What gift would give them the gift to be gifted? The giver is no less adrift than those who are clamoring for the gift. If they cannot claim it, if it is not there, if their empty fingers beat the empty air, and the giver goes down on his knees in prayer, knows that all of his giving has been for naught, and that nothing was ever what he thought, and turns in his guilty bed to stare at the starving multitude standing there, and rises from the bed to curse at heaven, he must yet understand that to whom much is given, much will be taken, and justly so. I cannot tell how much I owe. Oh. So, interesting dynamic here, showing that giving and showing kind of the upsides and downsides of giving. And I think the upside is you're able to give if you're able to give to those less fortunate, but also kind of showing the downsides that you're not always quite able to give, and you kind of go through that inner turmoil over giving, and you almost question your existence as when it comes to giving. At least that's what I'm kind of getting out of it. And I think it also encapsulates in the opening part here. If the hope of giving is to love the living, the giver risks madness in the act of giving. Other people may not be appreciative if other people, and he also says, some such lesson I seem to see in the faces that surround me. There's a lot of people asking for that gift. A lot of people, they want so much from you, they continue to take and take. Some don't even realize it, but yeah. So, showing that giving and showing the different sides of it, like both the good and the bad when it comes to giving. But this next one is called "Let America Be America Again," and this is by Langston Hughes. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream that let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great strong land of love, where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land and be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath. But opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, no, or freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I'm the immigrant clutching the hope I seek, and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the young man, full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean. Hungry yet today, despite the dream. Beaten yet today. O pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years. Yet I am the one who dreamed our basic dream in the old white in the old world, while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas, in search of what I meant to be my home. For, for I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore, and Poland's plain, and England's grassy lay, and torn from black Africa's strand I came to build a homeland of the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed, and all the songs we've sung, and all the hopes we've held, and all the flags we've hung. The millions who have nothing for our pay, except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain. Let's bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain. And for those who live like leeches on the people's lives, we must take back our land again. America. Oh, yes. As I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft, and stealth and lies, we the people must redeem the land and the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless pain. All the stretch of these great green states, and make America again. And so, very, very powerful poem here. They're showing that the people who say, hey, America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. That's kind of the tagline for America. But is it truly free? Is it truly the land of the free and home of the brave? Is it truly the land of equality? And that's, I think, the main thing that Langston is describing here. All the people saying, hey, America's great. We have to get America great again, and make America great again. Also sound familiar, but and I'm not here to pick sides when it comes to politics and stuff. That's not really the aim of this channel and everything. But showing. Or even this series of poetry and stuff, but Langston was showing, hey, America, you claim is free. America is supposed to be the land of the free, the home of the brave, the home of opportunity and equality and stuff like that. But we've had to fight for equality. You may be free, you may be enjoying America, but what about the rest of us? We're struggling and everything. America is not America to me. It never or has been, and whether it be the poor or African Americans and Native American, and it's it never was free to me. You're saying America's free, but it's never been free to me. So Oh, that had definitely sending a very powerful message within the poem, and I definitely love the way it is said. Like all the people that America's the backs, all the people that America has been built on the backs of are saying that the land's truly not free. Like you're saying the land's free, and that hey, all these good things, but we're not experiencing any of that. So, just very powerful poem in that regard. But this next one is called Awake, and this is by Jim Morrison. Is everybody in? Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The ceremony is about to begin. Wake up. You can't remember where it was as this dream stops. So, kind of a kind of an interesting and almost contradiction in a way. He's showing be awake, but also within that dream state. It's the ceremony's about to begin. Wake up. You can't remember where it was as this dream stops. Like, hey, as I think Panic at the Disco said it, a moment you'll never remember, a night you'll never forget. It's so showing and kind of being awake, but also kind of that dream state. So kind of that half and half, and some people do kind of prefer to be in that dream state, But yes, but the next one, this next poem is called Self Portrait, and this is by Robert Creeley. He wants to be a brutal old man, an aggressive old man, as dull, as brutal as the emptiness around him. He doesn't want compromise, nor to ever be nice to anyone, just mean and final in his brutal. Well, sorry. And finally, as brutal, I should say, his total rejection of it all. He tried the sweet, the gentle, the let's hold hands together. It was awful, dull, brutally inconsequential. Now he'll stand on his own dwindling legs. His arms, his skin, shrink daily, and he loves but hates equally. So, so within the confines of this poem, kind of, and it may be implied that and you'll see this with I think another poem I think I put in this one. I don't remember every single poem. So some of these some of these aren't really that brand new. Who a lot of these, like I said, we've read before on the channel. But the poem I'm thinking of, so describing this old man, and he may or may not be describing himself. Kind of seeing himself as like a brutal, just a bitter old man, and like he doesn't want. He tried to be nice, as it says here. He tried the sweet, the gentle, the let's hold hands together, and it was awful, dull, really inconsequential. So he tried it out, and and unfortunately, it didn't really pan out. So I think that really being described here as well. Also. This old man, he tried to push forward when it comes to life, but sadly, it didn't quite pan out. And kind of just almost, I don't necessarily want to say wasting away. I think that's a little too harsh, but definitely feeling that hollowness, that emptiness, as he tried, to be a kind of a perhaps jolly old man, if you will, but that didn't really work out, and he may or may not, as I said, and I think if the poem that I'm thinking of isn't here, then you'll see what I'm talking about. But Robert Creeley potentially describing himself in this regard. But this next one is Happiness, and this is by Raymond and Carver. So early it's still almost dark out. I'm near the window with my coffee and the usual early morning stuff that passes for thoughts when I see the boy and his friend walking up the road to deliver the newspaper. They wear caps and sweaters, and one boy has a bag over his shoulder. They are so happy. They aren't saying anything, these boys. I think if they could, they would take each other's arm. It's early in the morning, and they are doing this thing together. They come on, slowly. The sky is taking on light, though the moon still hangs pale over the water. Such beauty that even for a minute, death and ambition, even love, doesn't enter into this. Happiness, it comes on unexpectedly, and goes beyond, really, and any early morning talk about it. Kind of describing Raymond here, kind of describing what's going on outside his window as he's observing some boys walking, but kind of showing them walking and without much of a care in the world, well, and kind of just being happy in the morning. And there is a potential that he sees himself in those boys, like oh, those boys, they're walking without care in the world. They're taking each other's arm. They're walking down the street together, just like I used to do. So oftentimes that does happen, where we see things, we see ourselves, those in different things, in different scenarios, and different people going on. To the point where, like, man, I remember why I used to be like that. So, well, that has a possibility there. Or even just observing them being happy, like, hey, going out and enjoying each other's company and everything. And so, describing there. And then this next one is called For No Clear Reason, and this is by Robert Creeley. I dreamt last night, the fright was over, that the dust came, and then water, and women and men, together, again, and all was quiet in the dim moon's light, a paean of such patience, laughing at me, and the days extend over, the earth's great cover, grass, trees, and flowering seasons, for no clear reason. Interesting dream that Robert Creeley has had here. And I've definitely had some interesting dreams in life as well. But within the confines of this dream, a decent amount going on. Like, almost a bit chaotic at times, and and kind of that juxtaposition of stuff that could potentially be seen as positive. So, I accidentally pulled on my cable there, charging my laptop, but showing a potential positivity, like laughing at everything, but seeing that things are going on for no clear reason. There's no real rhyme or reason, I should say, as to what's going on. So, things are kind of topsy turvy, and perhaps equating that life to equating that dream to how his life is, where things do kind of seem topsy turvy. So perhaps and they do say dreams have meaning, and that dreams are oftentimes a reflection of ourselves and what's going on in our lives. So perhaps could that be what Robert is experiencing here? Or that's up for debate. I accidentally hit my mic there. But this next one is called A Bird in Bishopwood, and this is by John Tickhill and translated by Eric Westcott. And of course, if I mispronounce any of these names, I do apologize. In springtime, chief of all seasons, in May, when new joys rise and flourish, the sun is Lord and messenger at once and sends down to us to rouse our bodies and be merry, humankind to rejoice in all things, beasts to hasten out to the fields, birds to busy themselves with songs in the thickets. It flowers to thrive and dispense their fragrance, grass to grow green and gladden the hearts of men, and each creature received the season's blessing and regained a lust for life in the new season. I myself had lingered in my Lenten season, grieving my life, finding no solace. So I heaved up my heart and then my head, and then walked out into the woods like other people did, though lacking the least plaything that solitude requires. And as I am old and strayed there, inwardly weary, I stopped beside a thicket at the Bishop's Wood to watch the pretty birds play in pairs, each with each. And as I sat at my ease and took in the scene, a bird stopped on a bough quite near to me. The most beautiful lark that I have ever seen. Her shapely features suited her so well that she could have no small flaw in any limb. And grave in her aspect, she had little, didn't sing or chatter, but minded herself. She didn't dart off or scare like other birds did, but stood there lost as if in a daze. By her expression, she seemed to me to be saying that she wanted for her mate to cheer her up. Just then I was afraid on her behalf, in case I should startle her, if I moved toward the branch where she sat, and I anxiously waited for the moment she would flutter away, for she had wings at her command and lacked not even one feather, whereas I was sluggish with my limbs and hadn't brought my bird-lime, nor was I supplied with charms or conjuration for a bird, and so I left the lark, but it stayed put, and never noticed me at all, because I had kept quiet. I always wished I could have possessed her, kept her in my cage until it was winter time, and she'd grow weary of cold weather and wait for spring. And so, I'm kind of describing, so more kind of a story here. So, So, of course, John here going out, going into I should say, into the thickets, into the forest and stuff like that. In the springtime, and seeing this bird and kind of seeing what she's going through, interacting with the bird and stuff, of and admiring, of course, her. Sorry, I'm trying to charge my laptop here. Everybody's not plugging in, but kind of admiring that bird's beauty, and seeing the bird there, and that does happen sometimes where animals playing about and you kind of notice it, like when you sit and just kind of observe your surroundings. But seeing that bird, seeing her kind of longing for a mate, and him wanting to keep the bird, her but and also knowing that she should be free because, as you know, the bird is free. The bird is flying around and stuff, and seeing and comparing and contrasting not just himself but the bird as well. So comparing and contrasting the bird, where she's free and flying and stuff, free and flying and stuff. Meanwhile, he's not able to fly, obviously, because humans, are not able to fly. Even though that would be incredibly cool, but. Oh, but saying he wished he could have possessed her, kept her in a cage until it was wintertime, and she grew weary of cold weather and wait for spring. Oh, um, it begs the question then: why didn't he keep the bird? I think the deeper meaning is because he sees the freedom in her. Sees the freedom that he wished he had, so he wouldn't want to impose that. And this could be totally wrong, but it's kind of how I'm interpreting it. So seeing that freedom that he wished he had, that seeing it within the bird, or in and not wanting to startle her and everything, doesn't quite want to subject her, even though it's a beautiful bird, and even though he would love to have that bird for a pet or a companion or so. Not going to keep the bird, just gonna leave the bird be out in the world. Well, but this next one is called Erotica Suite, and this is by Selima Rivera. For Oscar, there are no words. When I think of you, babe, a soft snow falls lightly down my back, turning into steam on my full brown thighs. An ocean appears, threatening to dash me against the hot sand, spinning me helplessly into the mouth of a hungry sky. Cocaine and weed, envy the high you give me. Unable to recreate the intensity of the world you conjure up with a snap of a smile. When you're on my mind, I bubble and boil, cooking like thick salsa, spicing up the air around me. I breathe the music Mick Jagger can only dream about, dancing to an ancient rhythm, born in depths of my womb. Yeah, when you're on my mind, I lay back and close my eyes, dragging in the rich, thick smoke of our loving, spinning and whirling, stoned on the thought of you, babe. So, and this one I read not too long. I think this one I read right in the previous episode, but yeah. So, that intense, lovely feeling. And if you missed the last episode, then here it is again. Just in case you missed it, but also go check out episode 99 of Nigel's Tales from the Labyrinth. But that feeling of euphoria, as I was describing earlier with some of the earlier poems that I wrote, that feeling of euphoria when that right person makes you feel that type of way, where you feel just so in love and enamored and obsessed with them, and that's definitely what Selima's going through here. And I imagine this is directed at Oscar, which could be her boyfriend, husband, significant other or so, but feeling that intense love towards him, where she's feeling hot, she's feeling like high, she's on cloud nine, she is head over heels in love with him, and just. And just absolutely, he adores him, just thinks about him all the time, and just is absolutely enamored with him. Like, again, that person that you're enamored with, and that even bigger even better, I should say, is enamored with you. That's quite an awesome feeling, But this next one is called Stunt Double. This is by Thomas Q. Morin, or perhaps Tomas Q. Morin, and in this life, there are stars, and there are stunt doubles. Before I became one of those fathers, obsessed with memorizing his lines, making peace with a big director in the sky who doesn't like ad-libs. Before all that, I was the star of my own low-budget soap opera. Once, my brother and I pushed a car, where how my mother started it. She had a recurring role as single Mexican mom. Once, I was so hungry for candy that I ate half a bag, unsweetened of unsweetened coconut flakes. Once, my father was cast as twins for a few seasons. In one season, he played tall, dark, and handsome, a bricklayer with smoldering eyes. A few scenes later, he was alone, in a white t-shirt. Still a heartthrob, but a heartthrob hooking heroin as generic drug addict number one. Once, I forgot my father was not actually a twin. Now, I play funny college professor who teaches students how to write poems. But never fear, my son. I haven't forgotten all my training. The most important skill a stunt double must possess is knowing how to fall safely. I've fallen into poverty, fallen into love, fallen into money, fallen out of love, fallen into jail, fallen into hunger, fallen into fairy tales, fallen into plunder, fallen into trauma, fallen into hate, fallen into drama, fallen into wait. There's a story of neighbors in our home for a dinner party that we never told you. Casual racist white man saying, "We have a half-breed running back that's dynamite on the team. If I had not been in your room, falling asleep with you, then that's checkmate. That's rancor. That's malice. That's ill will on an ill wind. That's venom. That's justice. That's blood. That's get the F out of my house. The house where number block 7 is the luckiest number block in Numberland. The house with the green sofa, in front of the windows where, every time I sit and read Interior Chinatown, I swear it is the best novel ever written. In this life, there are stars and there are stunt doubles. I would fall off a cliff for you 1,000 times and call it a good day. When I see people celebrate in the park, I remember the early years. I can see Jennifer and her partner kicking a ball with you at my work's holiday party, just before Jennifer said he has the most gentle high five ever. It was a golden hour then, like it is now. I still linger too long over the windmill cookies on the craft table while you rehearse your lines. 7 plus 3 equals, 6 plus 4 equals, 5 plus 5 equals. When the end credits roll up on my days, I really just want someone to say he never flinched and that no animals were harmed in the making of this life. So very interesting poem and very awesome way that it's described. Essentially equating life to a movie. He kind of making that analogy of life being like a movie, where there's directors, there's different scenes, different things happening, and a movie does have a range of emotions. You have the funny moments, you have the sad moments, you have the love moments, the romance moments, you have the overcoming. So of course Tomas here showing that he's overcome quite a bit in his life to get where he is now, and been through so much, and some things that people can't even begin to imagine and begin to grasp, and oftentimes that does happen where life kind of is like that. Kind of like a movie or a TV show or a stage play where a lot of things happen, and that's what makes up your life. So going through everything that he's gone through and still being here and telling the story and being able to creatively tell that story and showing like stunt double that even if you're not the main character or helping somebody else out in that regard, or I think it's very wonderfully done, a very wonderful end. And all things Tomas has been through for him to still be here. It's definitely a heartwarming story, and it definitely he's showing that overcoming, I think, is a fantastic, phenomenal thing. The next poem is The Last Hummingbird of Summer, and this is by Beth Ann Fennelly. Reveals itself in retrospect, unlike the first, whose March arrival made you gasp, hands clasped, like a child actor instructed to show joy. When the last departs for points south, there's no telling and no tell. Well, so what? You know their cycle. In August they swarm the feeder, all swagger, greedy tussle for sugar water. Suddenly, September. Chill tickles your ankle. You reach for a long sleeve and you fret. They've left? Not yet. Ear cocked for the symphony's shrinking strings. Then comes a day without a ruby flash. Next day, they're back. Next day, there's one. Then none, or maybe one. From porches, pumpkins grin, you last had left, and left you uninformed. Kinda, sorta, can I say it? Like menstrual blood, again, between your legs. Your last, perhaps, or next to last, you're no longer very monthly. So unlike your first crimson, at 12, it's yes, you are there, God, Annunciation. Well, so what? You know the cycle, your body's eggy miracle, unneeded now for years, and you hate waste. Why fill and dump, and fill again the undrunk sugar water? Enough. Let's progress for whatever season's next. But still, a farewell ritual wouldn't be amiss. The last hummingbird of summer, zinging from the feeder. To others, a smooth departure. To you, alone, unmistakably, and dipping its wing. So showing the bird, the bird, leaving for the summer, and of course the last hummingbird of summer, kind of showing the changing of seasons and perhaps the changing of life. As life kind of moves forward. A bit graphic in some of the description here, but showing that life moves forward, as Beth as describes it, like equating it to that hummingbird. The hummingbird has to move on. It's moving south for the winter. It's going somewhere warmer for the winter, and going to show like that transition life as things move forward. And perhaps equating herself and life, her life, to that hummingbird, where the hummingbird has to move forward, of course. All right, so that's a quick break there. I had to use the bathroom and stuff. But nevertheless, this next one is called "Not Tonight But Tomorrow," and this is by Miguel Algarin. Not tonight, but tomorrow, when the light turns the peach, each tree green, and the earth sprouts its young leaves, looking to repeat the magical mystery tour, a photosynthetic conversion of light and moisture into life. Not tonight, but tomorrow, when my body will shed its fear of turning old and soft, will I turn my speeding mind into the tunnels of your psyche, to melt the calcium that constipates your synapses into a lubricating powder. Not tonight, but tomorrow, when the universe moves on beyond the field of attraction, that is the earth to me and you. Well, I discovered the interplanetary clues that signal the roots of my moment to you. Not tonight, but tomorrow, while I throw my feelings into New York streets to stew in the violence and despair of our planet. Not tonight, but tomorrow, will the earth turn green again. And so, so I think the main idea from this poem being, things may not change today, for the world around us. Things may not be improving today, at least not yet, but by tomorrow, or by tomorrow metaphorically means in the future, will things start to look up and start to change for us when it comes to that. So interesting how that's explored there. But this next one's called Diagnosis by Mina Alexander. So how will it end? You want it straight? He looked me in the eye. You will lose weight, become more and more tired. This kind will not enter your bones or brain. I stared at him, ravished, could not pluck my eyes from his old man face. Later, the cuneiform earth, skimmed in snow, inviolate bones, torn ligament of the language, a skeletal beauty, stars still uncover. Come dawn, a young doctor, at reddening shirt sleeves, his voice quick, prickly undersong. No grandeur here, just breath assuaging its own battery. Flash of sempiternal spring, a bus ride, M98 jolting along Lex, under the L latticework of lights. We must get you well again, set you free to summer. Or so, so obviously, this which Mina's going through here, her may or may not be cancer, at least some of the things how they're described, or some type of illness, but kind of describing the illness and how it is affecting her, and how she's kind of has to come to terms with it and deal with it and battle it and everything. So having that kind of depressing tone over what she's going through, but those sickness and stuff like that is not an easy thing to go through. But this next one is called Revenant, and it's also by me and Alexander. The disease has come back with frills and fur billows. You must give your whole life to poetry. Only a few survive, if that. Poems, I mean, paper crumpled, shades of another water. Far springs are what you long for, listening for the slow drip of chemicals through a hole in your chest. If you were torn from me, I could not bear what the earth had to offer. To be well again, what might that mean? The flowering plum sprung from late snow. Hatcheting trill in the blackberry bush, blood streaks, pluck and throb of mercy. So, by some of the things described here, it looks like this poem and the previous one, also by Mina Alexander, may be connected in a way, but showing that had quite a bit going on, and kind of that feeling that had angst here, and and all things describing, and a lot of these show physical things, but using that imagery to have show metaphorical, like the metaphorical pain that she or someone else that she's describing may be going through. So, well, interesting there in that regard. But this next one's called "Perfect for Any Occasion," and this is by Alberto Rios. Pies have a reputation, and it's immediate, no talk of potential. Regarding a pie, it's good, or it isn't, but mostly it is. Sweet, very sweet. Right then, right there, blue and red. It can't go to junior college, working hard for the grades, working 2 jobs on the side. It can't slowly build a reputation and a growing client base. A pie gets one chance, and knows it, wearing his makeup, those sparkling granules of sugar, as a collar those diamond cutouts, bespeaking fair day, felicity, contentment. I tell you everything is great, says a pie. Great and fun and fine. And you smell nice too, someone says. A full pound of round sound, all good. Pies live a life of applause. But then there are the other pies, the leftover pies, the ones nobody chooses at Thanksgiving. Mincemeat, what the hell is that? People ask, pointing instead at a double helping of Mr. I Can Do No Wrong pecan pie. But the unchosen pies have a long history too. They have plenty of good stories, places they've been. They were once fun too, but nobody wants to listen to them anymore. Oh sure, everyone used to love lard, but things have changed, brother. Things have changed. That's never the end of the story, of course. Some pies make a break for it, live underground for a while, doing what they can, talking fast, trying to eat sweet pizzas, if they're lucky, but no good comes of it. Nobody is fooled. A pie is a pie for one great day. Last week, it was Jell-O. Tomorrow, it'll be cake. And so using the pies here and kind of using the metaphor or allegory, the pies here, or to show life, that we all have different paths we take in life, and show by the different types of pies. Like some pies are the traditional pies, some pies it's maybe something else, maybe want to be something else. So kind of that. Not just the metaphor, not just the allegory, but that personification of what the pie wants to be. He saying that not all pies can be like the pecan pie, even though personally I hate pecan pie, and mostly because I hate pecans, so I of course hate pecan pie. But just show we all have different paths in life, and using the pies as the analogy here, I think is interesting, an interesting way of going about it. But the next one is called "Don't Make a Movie About Me," and this is by Johnny Cash, Christmas 1982. If anyone made a movie out of my life, I wouldn't like it, but I'd watch it twice. If they halfway tried to do it right, there'd be 40 screenwriters working day and night. They'd need a research team from Uncle Sam and go from David Allen Coe to Billy Graham. It would run 10 days in the final cut, and that would mean leaving out the gossip smut. I do request for my children's sake, don't ever let him down. Don't ever let him do a new remake. The thing I'm saying is, don't you see? Don't make a movie about me. Even for TV, don't make a movie about me. Don't let him drag old Hickory Lake for my telephones and bottles and roller skates. Down 40 feet in the Cumberland mud, there's a rusty old gun that once shed blood. Out 100 yards from my lakeside house, weighted down with a rock is a skirt and blouse, a dozen pair of boots that made a dozen corns, trombones, trumpets, harmonicas, and horns, and the tapes that I threw from the lakeside door, Silverstein and Christopherson from years before. Everything has a story that should be let be. So don't make a movie about me. If they're hot on a book called Man in Black, tell them I've got the rights and won't give it back. If you don't know my tune, you can't get it right. I don't talk about me in Man in White. Truth, said the master, cannot be hid, but he didn't say slap it in the face of my kids. A stone is a stone and forever a stone, but I'm part good and bad and then I'm gone. There is no sin cleaner than the dirtiest, so there's a lot about me that I don't want missed. If it's days or years or whatever will be, don't make a movie about me. I might as well face it 'cause they will someday. So while I can, I've got a lot of things to say. I don't know anybody that I said I don't know, and there ain't anybody anywhere I owe. The IRS gets the lion's share, and what is left goes to my own named heirs. Don't let them make it in Hollywood. If they must, tell them Arkansas is where they should. Here's a hex on whoever makes it be, so don't make a movie about me. For love or money, don't make a movie about me. Well, Johnny, unfortunately, you didn't get your wish because they definitely did make a Johnny Cash movie. I heard it wasn't bad though, so I'll have to check it out. But yeah, but I do get the idea here, and granted, to Johnny Cash's credit, he does call it, saying they're gonna do it anyway. Uh, but but I think it's more so about them getting his life right, like them. I think the movie's more of like a metaphorical movie. Like obviously I'm sure it's also literal, and like I said, they made the literal movie, but kind of that metaphorical movie. Like if they were to make a movie, they'd probably get it wrong, and they probably get aspects of life wrong, and that does happen quite a bit in biopics where there are things that happen either don't happen or didn't happen that way. But obviously they dramatize it for the sake of the movie to make it more interesting and make it more exciting. But that's why Johnny Cash said, yeah, don't make a movie about me. Don't bother because you're just gonna get it wrong. And I can't fully comment on it because I obviously haven't seen the movie. But did they get it wrong? Please let me know if you've seen the movie. But yeah. But making that movie about him and getting things wrong, he doesn't want them to get things wrong or to misrepresent him in any way. So, oh yeah, don't, yeah. So that's why he doesn't want a movie, at least within the confines of that poem. I didn't want a movie made about him, but yeah, it happened anyway. Hey, but nevertheless, next up is Virgin, and this is by Kathleen Ankersley for Lois. You would feed your fierce desire from my lips with white fire, but I have no keys to these strange mysteries. Why will you in urgency press against my fragile loveliness? I hold no key to this mystery. So, I imagine, judging by kind of some of the language used within the poem, as well as the title of the poem, that being Virgin, and I imagine the mystery is what intercourse is like, or what that intimacy is like, and everything, and so trying to unlock that mystery, but saying, hey, she doesn't have the key to the mystery, so I'm guessing so I'm guessing Kathleen here is also a virgin. So she doesn't know either. So describing, I imagine, to Lois here, who the play is addressed to here. So I imagine saying to her, like, hey, even though you don't know, I also don't know. So perhaps them exploring it together, perhaps that's a possibility. But this next one is called Garden. This is by Isabel Duarte Gray. And again, if I mispronounce any of these names, I do apologize. To be pretty for you, I have dropped 2 seeds of turnsole in the dark of both eyes. I grafted apple to the quickest, vein in either wrist. I dug an ounce of poppy seeds where teeth should be, plugged my ears with golden balls of iris. I carved a hole in either breast to swaddle Dan Halius Overwinter, and I can now pronounce that. Dan Halius Overwinter, I think that's how it's pronounced. Like you, so frightened of the cold. My mouth grows hot with purring, with the tunneling of bees. My tongue become a catacomb. The wings will fill with scent. My skull for you. My skull for you. Ceramic bowl of flowers you may hurl against the wall. I am ready. Lead the way. So, kind of the metaphor, or showing the metaphorical gardening here, and showing a lot of plants and everything, and relating it to the person she's talking to here, her showing like this garden, and saying she's ready to experience it's this experience with this person, this love with this person. So relating it to the garden, and saying, lead the way and everything, and through the garden, showing different flowers and how they relate to how she's feeling, and how she's feeling about this experience with this person. And so tying those things together, and I think it's done in a pretty interesting way. But this next one is A Marriage, and this is by Robert Creeley. The first retainer he gave to her was a golden wedding ring. The second, late at night, he woke up, leaned over on an elbow, and kissed her. The third and the last he died with, and gave up loving, and lived with her. So, Robert describing this marriage here, or showing showing the moments he had, and this could be him describing himself alongside his wife and everything. He could be describing someone else, also taking more like that backseat role. But then showing this life with her, and and showing the different retainers and stuff. I imagine retainer not like a literal retainer where you take the teeth out and everything, but or like in addition to the teeth, but showing like something to retain the love. So the golden wedding ring to retain the love of, and then retain his love or her there, and then the third and last, as he gave up loving, so he doesn't want to be with anyone else. He wants to be with her, and perhaps dying here, saying lived with her, so meaning he died and she died as well, so they are now together or again. Yeah, so pretty much showing that love and retaining that love between the two, I think is really what's being explored here. But then next up is The Road Not Taken. This is by Robert Frost. I told you it was going to be here. But two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other, is just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that at the passing there, had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So, you've probably heard me reference this poem quite a bit, and why is that? Because I think it shows that clear divide when it comes to life. Like you have the path that the one's been traveled down a bunch, the other not quite as much. So kind of going off the beaten path there. But Robert decides, you know what? We're gonna take the road less traveled. We're not gonna take the safe road. Instead, we're gonna take the different road, and it's made all the difference. So taking that risk and taking that leap forward, even if you don't know where it'll lead, just taking that risk and moving forward, I think is really the crux of this poem, and it definitely is life because you never know unless you try. All right, so this next one is called The Pasture, and this is by Robert Frost. It's also by Robert Frost, I should say. I'm going out to clean the pasture spring. I'll only stop to rake the leaves away, and hate to watch the water clear, I may. I shan't be gone long. You come too. I'm going to hang out to fetch the little calf that's standing by the mother. It's so young. It totters when she licks it with her tongue. I shan't be gone long. You come too. So Robert Frost is heading out to the pasture, pretty much saying, he's heading out to the pasture, describing what he's doing. So, kind of almost like out of a nothing poem there from the surface, but showing that he's going out to enjoy the spring. He's going to interact with the cows and everything. So. Oh, I didn't even mean for that to rhyme, but it did. But pretty much just going out in the spring and enjoy the weather a little bit, tend to the cows, and inviting the person to come as well. So I imagine the pasture might have a different meaning, and perhaps come with them into nature and spend the time with him and everything. And as he goes to tend to the cows, perhaps that's kind of maybe what I'm getting out of it. But yeah, interesting there. So next up is Still I Rise, and this is by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I got gold mines, digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, I say, welling and swelling, I bear in its tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors give, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. So, essentially, as Maya's describing here, or that, pretty much that's continuing to go on, even through the adversity, even and going against, pushing against, and the person or perhaps even group of people, perhaps even a certain group of people that she's going against here, or saying, you can do what you want. You can essentially say what you want, but I'm still gonna keep going. I'm still gonna keep pushing, and that's difficult to do. Like trying to go against the grain when people don't want you to succeed. But Maya says, I'm gonna rise. I'm still gonna stand up. I'm still gonna continue to fight the good fight. But next up is Phenomenal Woman. This is also by Maya Angelou. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size, but when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. I walk into a room, just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand or fall down on their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes, and the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist, and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say, it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, the grace of my style. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. 'Cause I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. So, kind of in a similar vein to Lucille Clifton's homage to my hips and everything. But Maya pretty much walking with that confidence, saying, hey, I'm walking with this confidence. I have all these great things about me. How are people wondering, hey, how'd she get like that? How'd she have that? But she's saying all these wonderful things about herself. She's saying how she walks, how she talks, looks how she is, and of course, and saying I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me after every part. So kind of like that structure, I think is pretty cool. But I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. He's saying it not just to the other people, but also to herself, saying, hey, I'm phenomenal. Having that confidence of herself and saying, I'm gonna keep going. This is why I am gonna keep going. This is why I'm gonna keep rocking everything, because I'm a phenomenal woman. That's me. That's who I am. That's how I live my life. That's how I want to be presented, and that's how I present myself as a phenomenal woman. And she definitely was a phenomenal woman, of course. But this next one is Marriage Morning, and this is by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Light, so low upon earth, you send a flash to the sun. Here's the golden close of love. All my wooing is done. Oh, all the woods and the meadows, woods where we hid from the wet. It's the isles where we stayed to be kind, meadows in which we met. Light, so low in the vale, you flash and lighten afar, for this is the golden morning of love, and you are his morning star. Flash, I am coming, I come, by meadow and stile and wood. Oh, light into my eyes and my heart and my blood. Heart, are you great enough for a love that never tires? Oh, heart, are you great enough for love? I have heard of thorns and briars, over the thorns and briars, over the meadows and stiles, over the world to the end of it, flash of a million miles. So, showing the marriage morning, I imagine this is Alfred describing his marriage and his and of course his significant other that he's marrying, and he's talking about love and comparing it to like the light of like the sun and everything and surrounding him, and tying that back into love, of saying, this is love is enduring, even with the thorns and everything. I think this love is enduring because every rose has its thorns. But saying, all this may come my way, but that love is still there, of course. But this next one is The Day Lady Died, and this is by Frank O'Hara. Is 12:20 in New York a Friday, 3 days after Bastille Day? Yes. Is 1959, and I go get a shoe shine because I will get off the 419 in East Hampton at 7:15 and then go straight to dinner. And I don't know the people who will feed me. I walk up the muggy street beginning to sun, and I have a hamburger and a malted and buy an ugly New World writing to see what the poets in Ghana are doing these days. I go on to the bank, and Miss Stillwagon, first name Linda, I once heard, doesn't even look up my balance for once in her life. And in the Golden Griffin, and I get a little Verlaine for Patsy with drawings by Bonnard, although I do think of Haysaw, Trans, Richard Lattimore, or Brent and Behan's new play, or Le Balcon, or Les Negres of Gennett. But I don't. I stick with Verlaine after practically going to sleep with quandariness. And for Mike, I just stroll to the Park Lane liquor store and ask for a bottle of Strega, and then I go back where I came from to 6th Avenue and the tobacconist in the Ziegfeld Theater and casually ask for a cartoon of Galaxies and a carton of Hyuns, and I'm probably mispronouncing all these, my apologies, and a New York Post with her face on it. I am sweating a lot by now and thinking of leaning on the John Doerr in the 5 spot while she whispered a song along the keyboard to Ma Waldron, and everyone and I stopped breathing. So, of course, the Day Lady Died. I intended for Lady Day, that being Billie Holiday, but kind of an interesting juxtaposition in showing everything else that's going on, and then he sees is that she's died, that he's passed, and I imagine the New York Post with her face on it showing that she passed and everything, and saying everyone, I stop breathing. So I imagine this to show that everything going on, but then when you learn about Billie Holiday's passing, that everything, the time just kind of stood still, which does happen with deaths, especially like major celebrity deaths. Where were you? Kind of like a where were you thing. Like when Michael Jackson died, or when Prince died, or when Stan Lee died. Like things really catching people off guard. Like I guess like death in general catch people off guard, but especially with like beloved celebrities and stuff. I definitely can catch, or just people that a lot of people really admired, like their deaths, them no longer being here with us. It definitely can, catch you off guard, of course. But this next one is called Personal Poem, and this is also by Frank O'Hara. Now, when I walk around at lunchtime, I have only 2 charms in my pocket: an old Roman coin Mike Hanamitsu gave me, and a bolt head that broke off a packing case. When I was in Madrid, the others never brought me too much luck, though they did help keep me in New York against coercion. That might be coercion. But now I'm happy for a time and interested. I walk through the luminous humidity, passing the house of Seagram with its wet and its loungers, and the construction to the left that closed the sidewalk. If I ever get it to be a construction worker, I'd like to have a silver hat, please, and get to Moriarty's where I wait for Leroy, and hear who wants to be a mover or a shaker. The last 5 years, my batting average is .016. That's that. And Leroy comes in and tells me Miles Davis was clubbed 12 times last night outside Birdland by a cop. A lady asked us for a nickel for a terrible disease, but we don't give her one. We don't like terrible diseases. Then we go eat some fish and some ale. It's cool but crowded. We don't like Lionel Trilling, we decide. We like Don Allen. We don't like Henry James so much. He like Herman Melville. We don't want to be in the Poets Walk in San Francisco, even, and we just want to be rich and walk on grinders in our silver hats. I wonder if one person out of the 8 million, I should say, is thinking of me as I shake hands with Leroy and buy a strap for my wristwatch and go back to work happy at the thought, possibly so. Almost kind of rambling, but from Frank O'Hara, which, as I noticed between this poem and the previous poem, I haven't read too much from Frank O'Hara. I've read a couple of his poems, including these two now, but a bit of rambling. But I think that was kind of just more so the style. Well, at the time, but going in the rambling, but also the personal poem showing, like his personal life, kind of taking. And I think that's I think the style might be done on purpose alongside the poem, kind of taking us into Frank O'Hara's psyche, which oftentimes, poetry, it takes, to an extent, that's what poetry's supposed to do, is supposed to take you into different people's psyche. And we definitely he do get into Frank O'Hara's psyche here, or with all the things he's describing and going on and everything. So a bit rambly at times, but that's kind of just how he is, and maybe that's the idea. Is maybe showing like himself in his fullness is in a way perhaps. But this next one is Incident, and this is by Amiri Baraka. He came, excuse me. He came back and shot. He shot him. When he came back, he shot, and he fell, stumbling, past the shadow wood, down, shot, dying, dead, to full halt. At the bottom, bleeding, shot dead. He died there after the fall. The speeding bullet tore his face, and blood sprayed fine over the killer and the gray light. Pictures of the dead man are everywhere, and his spirit sucks up the light. But he died in darkness, darker than his soul, and everything tumbled blindly with him dying down the stairs. We have no word on the killer, except he came back from somewhere to do what he did, and shot only once into his victim's stare, and left him quickly when the blood ran out. We know the killer was skillful, quick, and silent, and that the victim probably knew him. Other than that, aside from the caked sourness of the dead man's expression, and the cool surprise in the fixture of his hands and fingers, we know nothing. And so, the incident here, someone unfortunately being killed, being murdered. But the way it's describing, and the way describing the way describing other people's reaction to it, I imagine this person and or perhaps this event, or perhaps even both, will definitely had an impact not just on the people surrounding Amiri, but Amiri himself, where he's thinking about this person and how they died, almost in like cold blood and everything, and saying the killer was skilled, so this was premeditated. So describing this person and what happened to them. But next up is Dirge for Amado Diallo, and this is by Lorenzo Thomas. It is hard to have your son die in a distant land. If they said he was a soldier, we would pray, the way we always pray, that his would be the final sacrifice, and we would understand. Questions will fill that churning emptiness, shaped like a boy, growing beautifully into a man. There will be no answers. Still, we will understand. If he was a true believer, or a missionary, apostle, or a revolutionary, ardent altruist or visionary, in these mean times, maybe instead a hard and nerveless man, a mercenary, then we would dread his noble loss or petty glory, and we would understand. It's hard to have your son die in a distant land. If accident or heart attack, we could blame chance, or curse our earthbound ignorance, vow to concoct new mythologies that wouldn't force us such raw cruelties, marching our hope in coffles toward the grave, we'd understand. If someone said he was, this son, a prodigal, the kind of man who desperately needs the vice of suffering and hurt and desolation, some eccentricity to hold him firm, to help him shape his heart into an instrument of praise, the kind man who dares to summon whirlwinds, to win all wisdom from sophistication, we would wail and hold our heads, astonished by the wastefulness of fate, this repetitious wastefulness of fate, and understand. And now they tell me of a peaceful man, a mother's son, a father's pride, seeking to study in the learned halls of a distant, splendid, powerful, affluent land. A young man murdered, and murdered at the hand of men sworn to uphold the law. Not thugs or bandits. And there's no justice? There's no recompense? Oh no. In spite of all our history of terror in the world, uncountable eons of sorrow of the world, oh no, we do not understand. It is hard to have your son die in a distant land, and harder still when we can't understand. And so, describing what happened to Amado Diallo here, as Lorenzo describes it, and Amado was, I forget exactly the events leading up to it, but essentially killed by the police and everything. And as Lorenzo's describing, like, if he was a soldier, we would pray. Hey, if he was anyone else, we'd actually care. That's kind of the message conveyed. Like, hey, if it was anyone else, we would actually care. We would actually, be concerned with it. We'd actually, care about it. We'd actually, he want to seek justice. But this boy who was killed by the police, he saw this young man who was killed by the police unjustly. Where's his justice? Where's his peace? Like where's his consolation? Where's the consolation for the family for his death? So showing that injustice and showing that kind of hypocrisy or two-facedness for Amado Diallo's death here. So that's definitely what's being majorly conveyed within the poem. But this next one is Legacy, and this is by Mary Baraka for Blues People. In the South, sleeping against the drugstore, growling under the trucks and stoves, stumbling through and over the cluttered eyes of early mysterious nights, frowning, drunk, waving, moving a hand or lash, dancing, kneeling, reaching out, letting a hand rest in shadows, squatting to drink or pee, stretching to climb, pulling themselves onto horses near where there was sea, the old songs lead you to believe, riding out from this town to another where it is also black, down a road where people are asleep, towards the moon or the shadows of houses, towards the song's pretended sea. So, describing what's going on here, they're showing this I think like things are very dark, very almost desolate in a way. And kind of how things are or within this area as Mary describes them, and how to showing thing is that with it being legacy, are these the people's legacy? Like, is this how they'll be remembered? So I think that's kind of what I'm getting out of it is are these going to be people remembered? Is this how they're going to be remembered or visualized, or perhaps is there more to this? So kind of describing the area and kind of describing it there, but perhaps showing will this be the people's legacy? Yeah, at least, like I said, at least that's kind of what I'm getting out of it. But interesting in that regard. But this next one is A Young Lady of Lynn, and this is by Anonymous. Anonymous isn't the person name that means anonymous, like they don't know who wrote this. But there was a young lady of Lynn who was so uncommonly thin that when she essayed to drink lemonade, she slipped through the straw and fell in. So, kind of just a goofy little limerick there. But next up is his Listening in Deep Space. Also, a poor lady. Hopefully, someone and helps her out of the drink that she went in because she was so thin. But next up is Listening in Deep Space, and this is by Diane Thiel. We've always been out looking for answers, telling stories about ourselves, searching for connection, choosing to send out Stravinsky and whale song, which, in translation, might very well be our undoing instead of a welcome. We launched satellites, probes, telescopes, unfolding like origami, navigating geomagnetic storms, major disruptions, rovers with spirit and perseverance, mapping the unknown. We listen, through large arrays adjusted eagerly, to hear the news that we are not alone, considering the history at home, in houses, across continents, oceans, even in quests armed with good intentions, what one seeker has done to another. What will we do when we find each other? So mainly talking about space travel, having the rocket ships and the space probes and the rovers on like Mars and stuff of exploring space, and talking about it, but also asking the question, which I'm sure a lot of people have asked, what will we do when we find each other? Like, hey, what will we do when we seek what we find? What if we find out we're not alone? So kind of showing that, perhaps suggesting that maybe we really won't know what to do if we find out we're alone. Like, do we we're trying to see if we're alone out in space and everything, and but what we do, we find it. Do we want to find out how is all for nothing? Do we really want to find out that we're not alone? Are we hoping that we're alone? So kind of asking these questions while talking about the space travel and everything. But next up is his affirmation, and this is by Donald Hall. To grow old is to lose everything. Aging, everybody knows it. Even when we are young, we glimpse it sometimes and nod our heads when a grandfather dies. Then we row for years on the midsummer pond, ignorant and content. But a marriage that began without harm scatters into debris on the shore, and a friend from school drops, cold on a rocky strand. If a new love carries us past middle age, our wife will die at her strongest and most beautiful. New women come and go. All go. The pretty lover who announces that she is temporary. The bold woman, middle-aged against our old age, sinks under an anxiety she cannot withstand. And another friend of decades estranges herself. in words that pollute 30 years. Let us stifle under mud at the pond's edge, and affirm that it is fitting and delicious to lose everything. So, as Donald was describing here, us going through life, saying the goal is to lose everything. Oh, you lose friends, you lose family, you lose loved ones, and of course you lose teeth. As you age and everything. So showing that loss, but it's sadly showing that it's a part of getting older, I should say. That's part of the getting older. That's part of the process. So showing those aspects of the process of getting older and aging and everything. You tend to lose stuff. You lose your memory. You may not lose your mind. You may go senile. That's kind of just the nature of things. But next up is Legacies, and this is by Nikki Giovanni. Her grandmother called her from the playground. Yes, ma'am. I want you to learn how to make rolls, said the old woman proudly. But the little girl didn't want to learn how, because she knew, even if she couldn't say it, that would mean when the old one died, she would be less dependent on her spirit. So she said, I don't want to know how to make no rolls, with her lips poked out. Oh, and the old woman wiped her hands on her apron, saying, Lord, these children. And neither of them ever said what they meant, and I guess nobody ever does. So, judging by the title, that being Legacies, and how things are describing, showing that generational divide. The younger one doesn't want to learn how to make rolls, even though the grandmother wants to teach her how to make rolls. The younger one not wanting to learn because she knows that the responsibility will fall on her, and the older one, and I guess has that as the intention, but I heard being like, oh, these children, and the whole kids these days kind of thing, and so showing that generational divide, showing the generational difference between the two, and showing that disconnect, but saying, and if they said what they meant, would they be able to come to an understanding? But saying, hey, no way ever does, so people don't say what they mean, and that's why. And that perhaps may be why we have this generational divide, perhaps. But this next one is called Think Not All Is Over, and this is by Harriet Beecher Stowe. Think not, when the wailing winds of autumn drive the shivering leaflets from the tree. Think not all is over. Spring returneth, buds and leaves and blossoms thou shalt see. Think not, when the earth lies cold and sealed, and the weary birds above her mourn. Think not all is over. God still liveth. Songs and sunshine shall again return. Think not, when thy heart is waste and dreary, when thy cherished hopes lie chill and sere. Think not all is over. God still loveth. He will wipe away thy every tear. Weeping for a night alone endureth. God at last shall bring a morning hour. In the frozen buds of every winter, sleep the blossoms of a future flower. So, as Harry is describing here, think not all is over. When and things may seem bleak, and down, on equating it to like the wintertime and everything, but when things may seem deep and down, don't be discouraged, don't be despaired, because as things aren't quite over yet, the fall may come in, and so may the winter, but the spring will be here again, and that's not just the literal spring, but like the metaphorical spring as well. Like you maybe have down moments in your life where things aren't quite going the way you would love them to, or the way you would like them to, I should say, but it's not over yet, and you still got to keep going, is definitely what I'm getting out of this, and I imagine is likely the intention. But this next one is Solitude, and this is by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Laugh, and the world laughs with you. Weep, and you weep alone. For the sad old earth must borrow its mirth, but has trouble enough of its own. Sing, and the hills will answer. Sigh, it is lost on the air. The echoes bound to a joyful sound, but shrink from voicing care. Rejoice, and men will seek you. Grieve, and they turn and go. They want full measure of all your pleasure, but they do not need your woe. Oh, be glad, and your friends are many. Be sad, and you lose them all. There are none to decline your nectared wine, but alone you must drink life's gall. Oh, feast, and your halls are crowded. Fast, and the world goes by. Succeed and give, it helps you live, but no man can help you die. There is room in the halls of pleasure for a large and lordly train, but one by one we must file on through the narrow aisles of pain. And so, as Ella described it here, oftentimes when you suffer, you have to suffer alone, and you have to suffer in silence. And sometimes it's because we don't reach out for help, but other times it's because people don't want to offer it to us. Sadly, sometimes I'm suffering on your own, where nobody really knows what's going on with you. That's something I've experienced quite a bit, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it's like this way, and it really shouldn't be like this way, but it is sometimes, because, as you know, Everybody wants to be around when things are up, and that's what Ellis is describing here. When things are up, people are around, everything's good, everyone's happy. Yeah, awesome, fantastic. But then when you're alone, when you have those lonely moments in your life, when you have those down moments in your life where nobody's watching and no eyes on you, that's where things really start happening, and where like when things are going good, then the people surround you, the people are happy with you. But then when things are bad and going down, when the ship's sinking, everybody wants to abandon ship, and that's sadly kind of just how it is sometimes. I suggest is being there for your friends through the thick and thin, for good and bad. And not every friend is like that, unfortunately. That's why you gotta find the friends that are gonna be with you through the thick and thin, through the up times and the down times. And don't forget them. And cherish them when they're with you in their down times, but don't forget them when things are up for you. But this next one is called Cross, and this is by Langston Hughes. My old man's a white old man, and my old mother's black. If ever I curse my white old man, I take my curses back. If ever I curse my black old mother, and wish she were in hell, I'm sorry for that evil wish, and now I wish her well. My old man died in a fine big house. My ma died in a shack. I wonder where I'm gonna die, being neither white nor black. So, of course, Langston Hughes is biracial, so really exploring that dual sides, as the two sides to them, two sides to him, I should say. He's showing having a white father and a black mother, or her wanting to cherish them and embrace them both. Well, but this last line, I wonder where I'm gonna die, being neither white nor black. Like saying, his old man, the white man, died in the fine big house, and the mom died in the shack, showing that like racial divide and the racial inequality. But where's he gonna die? Where he, being neither fully white and nor fully black, because of course he's both. But so exploring that biraciality, exploring that kind of dual identity that he has, or at the very least he feels that he has. But this last poem is called Perfect Orange. This is by Ching In Chen. For Rick and Stephanie. Because today our hands unravel a perfect orange, we each left our homes, drank ripening light before boarding, put our hands together into red soil. We each left home to place new juice in our mouths, put our hands together into red soil, kept our eyes open for tiny seeds, unfamiliar juice in our mouths. Each season we unlatched door, eyes open for tiny seeds signaling first growth, kept away wilder foraging creatures. There's each season a latching door, and because windows kept their promise to open, ripening light before boarding, sun did indeed round out, foraging creature feeding grass, sky no longer called out, private song, our mouths welcome, smooth rinding sweet, juice in our mouths. Describing the orange here as Ching describes the orange, and showing and using the orange to show that togetherness. I imagine them writing the poem for Rick and Stephanie there, showing that orange and showing the juice in each other's mouths, showing that unity and togetherness. I imagine Rick and Stephanie are getting married. Yeah, I'm imagining perhaps, but showing that not just has the togetherness with the oranges and the orange juice, but the seeds, showing the growth that they're going to have together now that they're together or married and what have you, and showing that togetherness and showing that interconnectivity. But nevertheless, that is going to do it for this episode. So 100 episodes of Nigel's Dixie Tales from the Labyrinth. Here's open to 100 more and many more after that. And so thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you were in it for the long haul, you are definitely a trooper. But of course, once again, I recommend not watching it all in one sitting. Break it up into sections as need be. Hell, I didn't even record the whole video in one sitting. I had to take a couple breaks, mostly because I had to use the bathroom and stuff. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. And let me know in those comments what your thoughts on any of the poems I read and your analysis of them. Did you dislike the poems? Did you dislike this episode? Of course, I know it was a long one, but I still hope you enjoyed. And if you have any poetry recommendations for me, please feel free to drop them in the comments. And And of course, if you've been here since episode 1, if you've been here since even before episode 1, or if this is your first episode, or anywhere in between, I want to say I love, thank you, and appreciate you all. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.